Chapter 1575. The more things he had to do, the more obstacles he faced. She couldn't see Mount Tai with a single leaf. She felt that everything in front of her was blurry. There were too few clues, so it was impossible for him to guess who was behind the scenes. If he couldn't figure it out, then he wouldn't think about it. However, he would have to be more careful in the future. Feng Zhixing left with the people of Integral Moon Palace. Since he knew that this was a scam, he went back directly. Sima Yue brought Xian Qiu Minglang and the others back to the inn and found Sima Ji Yuan and the others. She first told them about the situation at the tomb and asked them to return to their family before telling them about going to the Xianxiu family. The Sima family knew that she was going to the Xianxiu family. They also knew that it was inevitable, so they were not surprised. They reminded her to be careful. Xianxiu Minglang did not bring them directly to the Xianxiu clan. Instead, they passed through several teleportation arrays and spatial ships and arrived at a place called Xian City in the 10 states. Sima Yue got off the spatial ship and took a deep breath. She smiled at Han Miao Shuang and the others, senior brother and senior sister. Don't you feel that the spiritual energy here is so dense that it's refreshing just by breathing? It's not as exaggerated as you say. Han Miao Shuang smiled. But the spirit energy here is indeed denser than other places. Miss Yue, my mission is to send you here. Naturally, there will be others who will take you back. Xianxiu Minglang said to Sima Yue, aren't you sending us to the Xianxiu clan? I'm just an elder in charge of external affairs. If there's nothing important, I can't go to the clan. The order I received was to send you here. Xianxiu Minglang smiled. Sima Yue had also guessed that a reclusive family like theirs would not easily come into contact with the outside world. There would definitely be someone in charge outside. Hence, she did not think too much about it and allowed Xianxiu Minglang to bring them to an inconspicuous courtyard. Xianxiu Minglang saw that Sima Yue did not ask anything and secretly heaved a sigh of relief. However, when he saw the person in the courtyard, he jumped in fright and hurriedly knelt down. Greetings, young lord. Xianxiu, he was still dressed in white. His creamy skin was sparkling and translucent under the sunlight. Sima Yue even felt that his body seemed to be covered in a halo because of this. He smiled at Sima Yue and said calmly, Yue, you're finally here. Why are you here? Sima Yue was surprised to see Xianxiu here. She did not expect that he would personally come to pick her up. I've been waiting anxiously in the family, unable to calm down. Why don't I come outside to pick you up? Xianxiu smiled. You must be tired from the long journey. Have a good rest first. We'll continue tomorrow. Sima Yue originally wanted to go earlier, but then she remembered that she had to refine medicine for Jiang Junxian today, so she nodded and agreed. The rooms have been prepared for you. Xianxiu waved his hand, and 2 servant girls walked over. They bowed towards Sima Yue. Miss Yue, please follow us. This courtyard was small and ordinary, so there were not many rooms. Sima Yue saw that her room was decorated in a unique way. It looked almost like the main room. She asked casually, whose courtyard is next to mine? Next to it is Young Master's. Young Master has been waiting here for Miss Yue for many days. The servant girl replied shyly. She had always heard that Young Master was handsome and elegant. Now that she saw him, she felt that those words could not describe Young Master's beauty. It was a pity that he had to sit in a wheelchair wherever he went and could not see. Are my senior brothers staying here? Sima Yue asked. There are only these 2 rooms in the hospital. Miss Yue's senior brothers are arranged to stay in the courtyard next door. Sima Yue frowned slightly. Just as she was about to reject, she heard the sound of wheels turning. I wanted to take a look at me tonight. It's more convenient here. Xianxiu said. Sima Yue walked to Xianxiu's side and said, since you want to check on your body, then you don't have to prepare a room for me. I'll go and do acupuncture for my senior brothers first, then I'll go and find you. Xianxiu stared at her and nodded. Okay, I'll wait for you in the room. He turned the wheels of the wheelchair. Sima Yue walked behind him and pushed him to his room. Thank you. Xianxiu let go of the wheelchair and nodded slightly. After sending Xianxiu to his room, Yue went to Jiang Junxian's place to check on him do acupuncture, and refine medicine. After a while, the sky was already very dark. When she returned to the main courtyard, the light in He's room was still lit. She knocked on the door, and He's voice came from inside. The servant girl opened the door from inside and bowed to Sima Yue. I'll have to trouble Miss Yue. Sima Yue nodded at her, and she stood up to leave. He was looking at a rubbing. When he felt Sima Yue enter, he put down the rubbing and said sadly, "In the past, I could only look at these rubbing. I've never read a real book. I don't know if I'll have the chance to read a book in this lifetime." Sima Yue walked over and smiled. "Of course you can. You have to believe that this world is so big. If I can't do it, there will be someone who can. I believe in you. If you can't do it, then no one else can." He smiled faintly. "You really believe in me?" Sima Yue smiled. "Let me check on your body first." "Okay." He stretched out his hand and let Sima Yue take his pulse. Sima Yue checked on his condition and had a rough idea. "How is it? Can I still be saved?" He smiled and asked. Sima Yue retracted her hand and said honestly, "Even after so many years, I still don't have 100% confidence." He was not disappointed when he heard this. Previously, she had 50% confidence. Now, it had only been 5 years. He did not think that she could improve by much. It won't be any smaller than before. He smiled faintly. "I have 80% confidence now. The remaining 20% will depend on the thing in your body." He was stunned. In 5 years, she actually increased the chances by 30%. "Why do you say that the remaining 20% will depend on the thing in my body? I haven't officially interacted with it, so I don't know how strong it is. If it's too strong, it might affect the treatment. After all, the treatment will suppress it." What Sima Yue did not say was that she felt that the seal in his body was familiar. "Then I'll have to trouble you in the future." The smile on He's face was no longer faint. Sima Yue could feel that the aura on his body had become much more relaxed. Sima Yue glanced at He and moved her lips. In the end, she did not ask. He knew what she was thinking and said, "The divine medicine has matured and is now stored in the treasure pavilion. I've already discussed with the family. When you go, I'll pass the divine medicine to you." Chapter 1576. Sima Yue was relieved when she heard what he said. Since the Xianxiu clan said so, they shouldn't go back on their word. On the morning of the second day, he brought Sima Yue and the rest out of the city. They went through the teleportation formation and arrived at a mountain range. Sima Yue knew that they were not near East City, as the teleportation array was not far away. However, because he didn't know the spatial coordinates, he didn't know where they were now. Then, the group of people sat on the spirit beast that had been prepared beforehand. After flying for some distance, they entered another world. Do all the hidden clans live in seclusion in such a beautiful place? Han Miao Shuang teased with a smile as she looked at the spiritual energy that was so dense that it could drip water. "That's the only advantage." He smiled. Sima Yue smiled and was not surprised. When he went to phone people, the environment there was better than here. Now, she finally understood why the hidden clans were getting stronger and stronger. And Lei's life was in the hands of Sima Yue. So this time, Sima Yue let her take care of Sima Lu Xian in the spirit pagoda. Feeling Sima Yue's emotions, she said, "My lady, the Xianxiu clan is in a small world." Sima Yue was slightly taken aback. Small world? She didn't feel any fluctuations from the little realm. The place where the Xuanxiu clan and the Donglai clan live in is not independent like the little Black Lotus realm. Instead, it's a small space opened up within space, and Lei explained. Their ancestors must be very powerful to be able to create such a place to live in. Sima Yue sighed. "I heard that the ancestors of the two clans were both celestial emperors. This space should have been created by the emperor." "Emperor?" Sima Yue touched the devil's snare bracelet on her wrist. No matter who they were, she had to get the magical medicine this time. He brought them to the main district. It was said that 80% of the people lived here. The scale was comparable to a small city. We've been on the road for such a long time. You guys go and rest first. I'll report back to the patriarch and the others. Xianxiu, he said to them, following which, a maid came up and led them to the courtyard that was specially set aside for guests. The Xianxiu clan was indeed a reclusive clan. Even if it was a courtyard for a guest, the decorations were top-notch. The courtyard was filled with exotic flowers and herbs. The road was made of polished marble and cobblestones. The rockery was made of high-quality jade. There was even a pavilion in the middle of the artificial lake, surrounded by red-crowned cranes. The lake water rippled and flickered with fluorescent lights. The environment here is really good. Han Miao Shuang sighed. Such a good place. I wonder if all the guest rooms are like this, or only this place is good. Jiang Junxian asked. This is the best courtyard, the maid said. Although the other places are also exquisitely decorated, they don't have such a good lake. The best courtyard? The few of them looked at each other. This treatment seemed to be a bit high. Yes. The family head said that Miss Yue is here to treat young master's injuries and is an honored guest of our family. So we naturally have to arrange for the best courtyard, the maid said with a smile. Her attitude towards Sima Yue was really respectful. Miss Yue, our madam said that she hopes that you can treat this place as your own home. If you have any requests, feel free to ask us, another maid said. The master had already prepared such a good place for them. What other requests could they have? Miss Yue, you don't know how happy the clansmen were when they knew that you were coming. Why? Our young master is naturally intelligent and talented. It's a pity that he couldn't walk or see since he was born. The maid explained. Although young master has never said it, we all know that he actually wants to be like a normal person. This kind of young master is even more heartbreaking. So the entire clan hopes that young master can get better. Although 50% is a little small, but young master believes in you, so we believe in you too. Miss Yue, you must treat young master's illness. Sima Yue felt a little guilty under the maid's burning gaze. She smiled and said, I will do my best, but I can't guarantee the result. We have some understanding of Miss Yue. Since you said so, there shouldn't be a problem, the other maid said with a smile. Sima Yue smiled and didn't continue. The two maids brought them to the courtyard and left. The four of them each chose a room and then gathered at Jiang Junxian's place. Sima Yue treated Jiang Junxian with acupuncture. Han Miao Shuang and Su Xiao watched from the side. Although they had seen it many times, they still had goosebumps when they saw Jiang Junxian's head full of needles. With Sima Yue's treatment, Jiang Junxian's condition was much better. At least he didn't look like he would fall asleep anytime and anywhere. After waking up, he was more energetic, unlike before when he woke up in a daze. However, he still had to sleep most of the time. After Sima Yue was done with the acupuncture, she took out the medicine that she had refined and fed it to him. Han Miao Shuang and the others then started to talk. Junior sister, when are you going to treat Xianxiu? Han Miao Shuang asked. Once she started to treat Xianxiu, he and Jiang Junxian, she would be very tired. I think they won't let me treat Xianxiu for the time being, Sima Yue said as she came to the table and poured herself a cup of tea. Why? Xianxiu's body is in such a condition. Xianxiu clan still let him be the young master. This means that he has a high prestige in the clan and is valued by the clan. For such a treasure, they won't take the risk if they aren't confident. Sima Yue said with certainty. You're saying that they still don't plan on letting you treat Xianxiu? Han Miao Shuang frowned. She was a little angry at her suspicions. There should be some kind of test or something. Sima Yue guessed, but this is good. Eldest senior brother's treatment is at a crucial point. I can put more energy on this side. Junior sister, Xianxiu clan must have asked many people to treat Xianxiu. It didn't work. Are you confident that you can treat him? Su Xiao was a little worried. Senior brother, actually, Xianxiu's condition isn't complicated. Sima Yue said, those people are helpless because they can't do anything to that thing. That thing? There's something sealed in Xianxiu's brain. That thing is suppressing his nerves. That's why he can't walk and can't see. As long as that thing is smaller and doesn't suppress his nerves, he'll be fine. Sima Yue said. However, his nerves have been suppressed for so long. They're damaged. He'll only be fully recovered after they're repaired. So for him to be able to see and walk, it'll still take some time. Since so many things can't do anything to that sealed thing, junior sister, are you sure you could do it? Chapter 1577. Recommended reading. 80%, Sima Yue said confidently. 80% confidence. In other words, when she told Xian Xiuhe that she was 80% confident, she was completely referring to her confidence in dealing with the seal. As long as she could take care of this, she would definitely be able to heal his nerves. Although it's not 100%, but I feel that junior sister's 80% chance is the same as 100% chance. Han Miaoshuang had a lot of trust in Sima Yu. However, junior sister, what if they go back on their word? Su Xiaoxiao asked. If they want to go back on their word, they will naturally pay the price. However, I have to get that godly medicine no matter what. Sima Yue's attitude was very clear. Since they had already agreed to give her the divine medicine after curing Xian Xiuhe, if they went back on their word, she would naturally use her own methods to get the divine medicine. However, he did not know if they would be able to bear the price. Just as Sima Yue expected, the Xianxiu clan did not summon her immediately. Instead, they asked her to rest in the courtyard. They said that they knew that Sima Yue had been treating her senior for the past few days and asked her to settle it first. He was just short of saying, "Don't multitask." Yu and the others weren't angry at all since they knew this would happen. If they really let Sima Yue treat Xianxiuhe so easily, they would be worried. In the blink of an eye, they had already stayed in the Xianxiu clan for 10 days. During this period of time, Xianxiuhe would come over every day to chat with Sima Yue or bring him around the clan. Xianxiuhe said apologetically, "When I went out, Mother went out because of some matters in the clan. The chief's wife wasn't here and no one else could make the decision for her, so it was delayed. Sima Yue told her not to worry about it. She could use this time to treat Jiang Junxian. After passing this hurdle, Jiang Junxian's matter could be put aside for a while. She could also treat Xianxiuhe better." On this day, Sima Yue had just finished acupuncture for Jiang Junxian and covered him with a blanket. Su Xiaoxiao came in and said that people from the Xianxiu family were here. Senior sister has gone to refine medicine for eldest senior brother. You stay here and guard him. Sima Yue said to Su Xiao. Jiang Junxian would sleep for a period of time after each acupuncture. Sima Yue said that it was good for him. It was best if he woke up naturally. If he was woken up, the effect would be greatly reduced. Su Xiaoxiao nodded and sat down at the table. Sima Yue went out alone. In the courtyard stood a woman with her hair tied up in a madam's bun. When the lady heard the commotion, she turned around and looked at Sima Yue. She smiled faintly, which reminded Sima Yue of a saying. In the depths of time, the years were peaceful. This woman wasn't very beautiful, but she gave people a gentle and refined feeling. Looking at her made people's hearts calm down. However, after seeing people like Feng Ruyin, Yue was only startled when she saw this woman. You're Yue, right? I'm here's mother. Sun Yue smiled and said to Sima Yue. Sima Yue took 2 steps forward and bowed to Sun Yue. Yue greets Annie. At the same time, she sighed in her heart. No wonder Xianxiu, he had an immortal-like temperament. It was hereditary. Sun Yue went forward to help her up and smiled. I went out a few days ago and only came back today. I heard that you were here, so I came to take a look. I should be the one to see Annie. Why did Annie come to see me? Sima Yue smiled embarrassedly. Sun Yue sized up Sima Yue. That gaze made Sima Yue feel uncomfortable. He said that he believes in your medical skills, so I believe in you too. Auntie, do you have something to say? Sima Yue asked. For people like them, there was always a but at the end. It's like this. I have a servant girl who has been with me since I was young. Later on, she also helped to take care of me. She was injured in the past and left behind some hidden injuries, so I want you to take a look at her. Sun Yue said apologetically. Although it was not right to do so directly, Xianxiu, he was her precious child. Without knowing Sima Yue's depth, she did not dare to hand him over to her. After Sun Yue finished speaking, a woman behind her walked forward and bowed slightly to Sima Yue. Sun Yue said that she grew up with her, which meant that this servant girl was about the same age as her. However, this person's face was full of wrinkles and her hair was gray. She looked like an old woman. If Sun Yue did not say this, she would not have thought that they were about the same age. I don't have any extravagant hopes that her looks can be restored to how it was before. As long as her body recovers, she can accompany me for a few more years. Sun Yue said when she saw Sima Yu's contemplative gaze. Sima Yue did not agree immediately and said, "Auntie, I have to check on her before I can give you an answer. Then I'll have to trouble you to take a look at her." Sun Yue nodded. She was neither arrogant nor rash. She was much better than her peers. "Auntie, please follow me." Sima Yue brought them to the living room and let the servant girl sit down. She then went to check on her body. After checking on the servant girl's body, she said as expected in her heart, an injury that could render the hidden family helpless was definitely not a small injury. This aunt's hidden injuries should be a few hundred years old. Sima Yue said, "Auntie should have taken many good herbs to prolong her life. However, even so, this aunt has less than 2 years to live. Back then, it was all to save me." Sun Yue's eyes moistened when she said this. However, what surprised her was that Sima Yue's medical skills were so good. The family's doctor had also said that this servant girl would not live for more than 2 years. Sun Yue's initial intention was not to let Sima Yue treat her. After all, even the family's doctor had said that there was no hope. She only wanted to test Sima Yue's abilities and see how much she could tell. However, she did not expect Sima Yue to know everything just by taking her pulse. Her medical skills were definitely not inferior to the family's doctors. At the same time, a glimmer of hope rose in her heart. She looked at Sima Yue and asked, "Yue, look at her situation. Can she still be saved? It's not that there is no way, but it will be more troublesome and the price will be higher. Also, I'm afraid that it will be very difficult to restore her looks." Sima Yue said. From Sima Yue's point of view, this servant girl's body was like a wooden barrel with a hole drilled in it. If the hole was not repaired, no matter how much water it contained, it would all leak out. If she wanted to be treated, the herbs needed would not be easy. However, Sun Yue's eyes lit up. "Treat. No matter what, we must treat her. Yue, do you need us to do anything?" Those who have read Crazy Wife, Fifth Miss Divine Doctor will like it. Chapter 1578. At this time, Sima Yue didn't care whether Sun Yue was sincere or not. Since they wanted to test her strength, she didn't have to hold anything back. She wrote down the things she needed to prepare on a piece of paper and handed it to Sun Yue. Sun Yue looked at the things that she had asked the servants to prepare and frowned slightly. She then passed them to the servant girl beside her and asked her to prepare them. "Auntie, this auntie's body is very weak. I need to nurse her back for a few days before I can treat her." Sima Yue said, "That's good. I took a look at the herbs you need, and there are a few that the clan doesn't have yet. If you want to get them, it will take some time. I'll have to trouble you to nurse her body these few days," Sun Yue said with a smile. Sima Yue agreed. Anyway, it was just a matter of recuperation and not a final treatment. She did not need to spend too much effort on it. After getting the results she wanted, Sun Yue got up and left. After they left, Su Xiaoxiao came in and asked, "Did they come to test you?" Sima Yue nodded. This time, a troublesome patient was sent over. Su Xiaoxiao frowned and asked, "Are you sure? It's just that she hasn't recovered from her previous injuries. As long as they can prepare the herbs, I can cure her. If you don't prepare everything, it has nothing to do with me." Sima Yue shrugged. She was not worried at all. Seeing Sima Yue's confidence, Su Xiaoxiao didn't say anything more. Half a month later, Sun Yue sent someone to pass a message to Sima Yue, saying that the medicinal ingredients were ready and inviting her over. Sima Yue followed the servant girl to a splendid courtyard. As she walked in, she could not help but mutter in her heart. It was just a courtyard, but it was even more magnificent than an imperial palace. The Xianxiu family was really generous. The maidservant led her to the main hall. The moment she entered, She realized that other than Sun Yue and the maid, there was also a group of people of various ages dressed in white. The doctors saw Sima Yue. Sun Yue saw Sima Yue bowing to her and waved her hand. She smiled and said, "These are the family's doctors. They want to see how you treat her and learn from you." So they came along. Sima Yue understood that learning was one thing and supervising another. It seemed that this person had a high position in Sun Yue's heart. She said awkwardly, "It's not that I don't want to, but when I treat her, I need to use of acupuncture and I need to remove this Annie's clothes. If there's a man present, it's not good. But if there are female doctors to come along." Those doctors originally wanted to get angry, but when they heard her last sentence, they swallowed their words. Did they really want to see a woman's body? But she was to see that Yue to see to say to this was because there were two female physicians in the Xianxiu clan. Sun Yue had long heard of Sima Yu's acupuncture skills. When she heard her mention it today, she felt like she was purposely making things difficult for her. So she nodded, saying, "Then let them go and assist you." The maidservant led them to the room at the side. There was a soft bed prepared. Sima Yue let the maid lie on it and let her take off her clothes. The maid was a little embarrassed at first, but when the doctors said that everything was the same in front of doctor, the most important thing was to treat the illness. Only then did she take off all her clothes. "Seniors, if you want to see, no matter what I do later, please don't make a sound. If I'm interrupted when I'm concentrating, I don't need to tell you the consequences. Whether this Annie's life can be saved will depend on your abilities." Sima Yue instructed the two doctors before taking out her silver needles. The two female doctors already knew that there was a set of acupuncture outside. Unfortunately, they had never seen it before. When they saw Sima Yue taking out her silver needles today, they were a little excited. However, this excitement quickly turned into nervousness. This was because they realized that Sima Yue had pierced a few places on the human body. One of them wanted to stop her, but was pulled back by the other, who shook her head at her. Even though Sima Yu's acupuncture speed was not slow, she still diverted some of her attention to the two of them. She saw their reactions, but as long as they did not disturb her, she did not care about them. 2 hours later, Sima Yue finished her acupuncture. When she took out the last needle, she ordered, "Help her put on her clothes." The two doctors took the maid's pulse while she was putting on her clothes. They looked at each other and saw the surprise in each other's eyes. She had only done one acupuncture, and her condition had improved by 30%. After Sima Yue kept her silver needles, she said to the two of them, "I'm going to report to Auntie. Do you want to come along?" She was not interested in their little antics just now. Since they were testing her medical skills, they definitely had to check on her condition. "All right, let's go out together." When she returned to the main hall, Sima Yue did not expect that none of them had left. "Yue, how is it?" Sun Yue asked anxiously. "The treatment went well. I've already given her the pill. She only needs to do a few more acupuncture sessions." Sima Yue replied. "How is her condition?" One of the doctors asked. "You'll know when you see her." Sima Yue did not want to bother with their probing gazes and said to Sun Yue, "Auntie, the next acupuncture session will be in 3 days. I'm a little tired. I'll go back and rest first." Sun Yue could tell that she did not look too well and nodded. "Go back and rest." Sima Yue bowed to her and turned to leave. After Sima Yue left, Sun Yue asked the two doctors who had followed her in about the situation. Naturally, the two doctors told her everything that they had seen. When they heard that Sima Yu's condition had improved by 30% after one acupuncture session and one pill, the other doctors did not believe it. "You'll know whether you believe it or not when you see her," Sun Yue said. Unexpectedly, none of the doctors in the hall believed it. They all ran over and personally took each of their pulses. She actually improved by 30%. With her current body, she can live for at least a few more decades. It seems that the acupuncture technique is indeed as miraculous as the rumors say. In that case, that little girl really has the ability to cure people. At this rate, it's very likely. In that case, there's hope for young master's illness. The acupuncture technique is so miraculous. I wonder if she's willing to hand it over. If we can exchange it for the acupuncture technique, Let's ask her another day. Sima Yue directly returned to the courtyard where they lived. She did not know that those people had used the acupuncture technique. However, even if she knew, she would not regret using it in front of these people. She had to get her hands on the godly medicine. Chapter 1579. In the following days, other than performing acupuncture for Jiang Junxian, Sima Yue also had to go to Sun Yue's courtyard regularly. After a month, the servant girl's condition had improved by more than half. This allowed the Xianxiu clan to affirm Sima Yue's medical skills. At the same time, they had other ideas. On this day, Sima Yue came out of Sun Yue's courtyard and was stopped halfway. Yue. Sima Yue looked at the person in front of her and recognized that he was a doctor from the Xianxiu family, Xianxiu Rong. However, she did not have a good impression of this person, so she nodded in response. Yue, are you going back? How about I send you back? Xianxiu Rong said. No need. I have walked this path so many times that I am very familiar with it. If there's nothing else, I'll go back first. Sima Yue rejected instinctively. Xianxiu Rong was a little annoyed, but he did not show it. Seeing that Sima Yue was unwilling to say more, he directly said the reason why he stopped her. Miss Yue, I have something to discuss with you. Sima Yue looked at his greedy eyes and sneered in her heart. She did not reply. This Xianxiu Rong had always made things difficult for her, always asking her about the silver needle method. Xianxiu Rong saw that she did not answer, and the anger in his heart burned even more. If it was an ordinary person who saw her like this, they wouldn't continue to pester her. However, his skin was thicker than the average person's. Even so, he still smiled and said to her, Miss Yu, I came here today to make a deal with you. Sima Yue remained indifferent and did not reply. She was not interested in the deal at all. Miss Yue, we would like to exchange my massage technique for your acupuncture technique. What do you think? Sima Yue glanced at him and could no longer pretend to be smiling. She said in a deep voice, Dr. Rong, both of us know how powerful this silver needle technique is, right? Your massage technique, even if I don't know it, I won't exchange it with you. Then what do you want in exchange? My master gave it to me. My master ordered that it can only be passed down and not told to others. Dr. Rong, I'm sorry. I have to go back to treat my senior goodbye. After speaking, she walked around Xianxiu Rong and went back to the courtyard. The place where they were standing was not far from the courtyard. The moment Sima Yue entered, she saw Su Xiao and the other two with dark expressions. Sima Yue was shocked and she asked, what happened? Did the people from the Xianxiu family bullied you? Could it be that someone had taken advantage of her absence to sneak in here? Yue? They obviously did not Yue to bully. Yue to Yue, of course, Yue. Sima Yue heaved a sigh of relief when she heard that. It was good that no one bullied them. Senior, if they don't see my medical skills, they won't let me treat Xianxiu He. And I have to get that miraculous medicine. Sima Yue said, Father has been back for a few years. Without the support of spirit energy, his body has started to age. I can't wait any longer. Sima Lu Xian couldn't cultivate. His lifespan was no different from an ordinary person. She had already wasted a few years. She didn't have any more time to find other ways. And even Wu Lingyu only knew of this method. She could only take this path. Seeing that Sima Yue's expression was not good, Han Miao Shuang and the others swallowed their words. They just sighed. In the end, Su Xiao spoke. Little Junior, don't think that Xianxiu He is all right. Think that all the people from the hidden families are like that. Those people are used to being high and mighty. They're not easy to get along with. I know. Sima Yue understood this point as well. She had interacted with the Northern Du clan and Eastern Lai clan. Naturally, she knew that the people from the hidden families were not easy to get along with. Xianxiu He was indeed considered different. Don't worry. Although those people covet my medical skills, I haven't treated Xianxiu He yet. They won't dare to do anything to me. Sima Yue smiled at the three of them. But those people are outside all day. It hurts my eyes to look at them. Han Miao Shuang was still a little angry. Fortunately, Senior has passed the first stage. He doesn't need to use acupuncture anymore. The testing is about to end. I estimate that we will be able to treat Xianxiu, he and a few asterisk, 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 asterisk. Once he is cured, we will get the miraculous medicine and leave. Sima Yue had the support of the Feng people. She wasn't that afraid of the hidden families. I'm just afraid that they will do something after we leave. Jiang Junxian was worried about the future. Although they knew that the Feng people were in the Little Realm, Sima Yue didn't mention the origins of the Feng people. They only knew that those people were very powerful, but they weren't sure if they could suppress the hidden families. Let's talk about the future. Sima Yue couldn't say it clearly. She could only tell them not to think too much. That day, Xianxiu, he came to look for Sima Yue. He wanted to apologize on behalf of those doctors who asked Sima Yue to exchange the acupuncture technique. Sima Yue said that it had nothing to do with him. There was no need to apologize. She also told him what she couldn't say. In the end, she said that she believed that Xianxiu clan wouldn't do anything to make things difficult for her. Xianxiu, he directly promised that such a situation wouldn't happen again. 3 days later, she performed acupuncture on the maid for the last time. She reminded her not to stop taking pills for the next year. Her task was considered completed. Chapter 1580. 2 days passed in the blink of an eye. This time, Sima Yue did not go to Sun Yue's courtyard, but to Xianxiu's courtyard. Previously, when Xianxiu he brought them around the clan, he had once brought her to his courtyard. When she arrived at Xianxiu's place, there were already many people guarding there. Other than the doctors, there were also other people she had never seen before. She guessed that they were probably elders or something like that. In the living room, Sun Yue sat in the main seat, while Xianxiu he sat behind her. The others sat on both sides. The seat beside Sun Yue was empty. Seeing that Sima Yue's gaze had paused on the empty seat, Sun Yue said apologetically, "My master has something to do and has not returned yet." Sima Yue was stunned. When she was treating Xianxiu, his father, who was also the clan leader, was not around. Seeing the smile on Sun Yue's face, why did she feel that the mother of the family had deliberately chosen this time? As if Dee had seen through her thoughts, Sun Yue's smile didn't falter. His father isn't very supportive of this. He's not here, so I'm in charge. Sima Yue pursed her lips. Wasn't it usually the mother who didn't want it? This mother didn't seem to be reluctant. Wasn't she afraid that she would cripple her son? However, this was their own business, so she did not care so much. As long as he could get the divine medicine afterwards, it would be fine. Auntie, can we start now? When you diagnose and treat him, we want to be present. A white-bearded old man said. Sima Yue shook her head. The entire process must be highly focused and cannot be interrupted at all. Forgive this junior for not agreeing. You have to do it even if you can't. That seal is extremely important. If something goes wrong, can you bear the responsibility? Just now, the white-bearded man's attitude was still considered reluctant, but now his words were very impolite. No, Sima Yue refused to back down. Child, can't you make an exception? Sun Yue also wanted to enter. We promise that we won't speak. We won't disturb you. Auntie, this process is too delicate. There can't be any mistakes. If you're worried about the seal, I can assure you that the seal will not be released regardless of whether we succeed or not. Sima Yue said. No, the elders of the Xianxiu clan were determined. If you don't agree, please forgive me for not being able to make a move. Sima Yue did not back down. Are you threatening us? The cold voice was filled with anger. Sima Yue shook her head and said, The risk lies with me, not him. I need a high degree of concentration, and I also need to use my divine sense to control it. If I am affected, I will suffer a lot of damage. If it was light, his divine sense would be damaged. If it was heavy, his sea of consciousness would shatter, and he would become mentally retarded. Please forgive me, Auntie and elders. I cannot take this risk. Sun Yue was a little hesitant when she heard the severity of her words. Mother, let's do as Yue says. Xianxiu, he said, I believe her, and I don't want to miss this opportunity. Sun Yue looked at Xianxiu, and sighed softly. She had a feeling that a grown child could not be kept. Just now, they had agreed that they would watch from the sidelines. Who knew that he would sell out his clansmen in the blink of an eye? Since you've said so, then we'll do as you say. Sun Yue compromised. Mistress, the elders still wanted to stop them, but Sun Yue waved her hand and interrupted their thoughts. Xian Xiu, he pushed his wheelchair in front of Sima Yue and smiled at her. Let's go. Okay. Sima Yue came behind him and pushed his wheelchair to the room that was prepared at the side. She was very grateful for his support at this time. If he did not agree, there would be no other way today. The two of them came to the room and closed the door with a bang, blocking everyone outside. Then, Sima Yue set up a barrier. Add another layer. Xian Xiu, he set up one too. It was much more advanced than hers. The people outside could forget about rushing in or using their divine sense to investigate. Those elders were locked outside and all gathered in the courtyard. Young Master set up a barrier. It seems like he doesn't want us to investigate the situation inside. Sigh. Young Master's barrier was the best in the clan. Without his permission, no one could investigate anything. Mistress, if Patriarch comes back, what will he do? Sun Yue said faintly. When he comes back, everything will be settled. He won't be able to say anything. But, Patriarchy, don't worry. If anything happens, I will take care of it. Sun Yue was determined to treat Xian Xiuhe. She knew her own son best. He wanted to see the world with his own eyes and not rely on his divine sense to feel it. When those elders heard her words, they looked at each other. If Patriarch really got angry, would it really not affect them? Suddenly, a strong aura came from afar. Everyone in the courtyard cursed in their hearts. Sun Yue saw the person who came and was slightly stunned. How could he come back at this time? She looked around at everyone present and saw Xian Qiurong's evasive gaze. Her face darkened. Her anger disappeared in an instant. She smiled and said to the person who came, "Didn't old master say that he had something to settle? Why'd he come back at this time?" Xian Xiufu, she glanced at her coldly and snorted. No matter how important the matter is, it is not as important as Where is he? Sun Yue ignored his anger and pointed at Xian Xiuhe's room. Seeing that Xian Xiufu she was about to enter, she quickly stopped him. "Old master, you can't." "Why can't I? I said that I don't agree, but you still did it behind my back. Are you trying to kill he?" "Xian Xiufu," she shouted. "Old master." Sun Yue's voice suddenly rose. She looked at the man in front of her with some heartache. "He is my son. I dote on him too much. How can I kill him? He always wanted to be able to walk and see." Xian Xiufu, she interrupted her and scolded. "After so many years and finding so many doctors, you still haven't given up? If other people find out about the things sealed in his body, do you know what will happen?" She knows that there is something sealed in Heer's body. But as long as the seal is not broken, she will not know what it is. That seal was made by us. Do you think she can break it? Sun Yue was not intimidated by his aura and rebutted him. "We still can't take this risk." "Xian Xiufu," she said, and was about to rush into the room. "It's too late." Xian Xiufu, she stopped and turned back to glare at Sun Yue. "What do you mean?" Sun Yue smiled. "Old master, can't you feel it? Heer's barrier. So what if it is? Yue said that once it starts, any movement will affect them. The place she wants to attack is Heer's brain. This barrier was set up by him. If you attack it, it will definitely be injured. They have already gone in for a while. I'm afraid they have already started treating him." Chapter 1581. The temperature around Xian Xiufu instantly dropped to freezing point. He looked coldly at Sun Yue. "Master, don't glare at me. It's useless to wait for me." Although Xian Xiufu's appearance was very frightening, Sun Yue was not afraid of him at all. She continued to look at him with a smile. Xian Xiufu's anger finally turned into helplessness. Seeing him like this, Sun Yue's smile deepened. She stepped forward to hold his arm and said, "All right, master. Since it's already like this, just accept it. I believe in Heer's vision." Xian Xiufu, she sighed and asked, "How long will they take?" "You said it would take about a day. Then you stay here and guard. The rest of you follow me." Xian Xiufu, she brought those people to the main hall. Sun Yue kept the smile on her face, and her eyes were filled with worry. Just now, she had spoken very confidently and pretended to be very relaxed. But how could she really be relaxed when it concerned her son's safety? The two people in the house didn't know what happened outside just now. At this moment, Xianxiu, he was sitting in a bathtub. His chest was soaked in the bathtub, and there were a few needles on it. Big Brother Crane, I'm going to start piercing the exposition of your head from now on. Make that thing smaller. It might be a little painful, so bear with it. Sima Yue held a long silver needle and stood behind Xianxiu. Seeing that he responded, she started to prick his Baihui X. Xianxiu, he didn't expect Sima Yue to stab him in the back the moment she arrived. This exposition was connected to the Sea of Consciousness. Once it was injured, the Sea of Consciousness would be destroyed. However, he only hesitated for a moment before he resisted the urge to move. Sima Yue was moved. He trusted her wholeheartedly and even gave his life to her. After stabbing the Baihui X, she sighed and said, "You trust me that much? If I wanted to do something to you, you would have been in danger just now." Xianxiu, he smiled and said, "I know you won't." Sima Yue did not know why he trusted her so much. Even she did not trust him so much. I'll continue. After that, the two of them did not speak. Sima Yue pierced more than 10 silver needles into his head. The number was not as many as Jiang Junxian's, but it was more tiring than his because it required more precision and also had to take into account his seal. The sealed fellow seemed to have sensed danger and became restless in Xianxiu's mind. Sima Yue saw that Xianxiu's face turned pale and then red. She knew that she was feeling terrible. Big Brother Crane, I will infuse my divine sense into your brain in a moment. Don't resist. Seeing that Xianxiu, he nodded almost imperceptibly. She quickly condensed her divine sense and entered his brain. At this time, his sea of consciousness was already surging violently. Even if it was him, he was almost unable to control it. In the middle of his sea of consciousness, there was an R-shaped white object floating up and down, surrounded by a faint golden light. The golden light and the body were not one, which meant that this was the thing that had been sealed. She attacked that thing. When her divine sense came into contact with the seal, that familiar feeling came again. It was as if she knew what it was. It was as if she should know. And that sealed thing felt Sima Yue's aura and became even more restless, causing Xianxiu, his sea of consciousness, to become even more turbulent. However, Sima Yue felt that the tower was in pain before, but now it seemed to be agitated. Agitated? How could it be? But no matter how she felt, she still felt that it was agitated. Could it be that it knew her? Thinking about it, it was impossible. It must be familiar with something on her body. But no matter if it was someone familiar or something familiar, it could not change her purpose today. She bent her 5 fingers, and all 5 of her fingertips emitted bits of fluorescent light, which then turned into silver threads. Following the movements of her 5 fingers, they automatically weaved into a silver net. Go! She threw the net toward that thing. That net seemed to be a little afraid of that thing and was caught by the net. That thing tried to struggle, and Sima Yue wanted to keep it. Both parties were in a deadlock, and Sima Yue also felt that it was a little strenuous. Luckily, the person outside pricked it with a silver needle, which made the little person that was formed by the divine sense much more relaxed. The net outside the seal became more solid, but the other party still did not give in completely. Sima Yue thought for a while and turned into a ball of flame. Because of the contract, the flame that she turned into also carried little birdie's aura. You either shrink the area obediently, or I will burn you into a ball of ashes. Sima Yue threatened, Don't think that I can't do anything to you just because I don't dare to hurt him. If I'm anxious, I will take care of you and him together. Anyway, I am still young and there's still room for improvement in my medical skills. Although I will hurt him by killing you, it is not impossible to save him. Who knows? I might even be able to get rid of you completely. Hearing her words, she did not know if the other party was threatened by her words or if there was some other reason, but it actually started to shrink slowly. As he shrank, the seal also shrank, and so did the webpage outside. Phew! Looking at that thing that had shrunk by half, Sima Yue heaved a long sigh of relief. It was finally done, but before leaving, she took a look at that thing that was sealed. Her eyes were filled with a different kind of curiosity. When she pulled her divine sense out of Xian Xiuhe's body, she could not take it anymore. Her body was weak, and she directly collapsed beside the bathtub. She took out a pill and ate it. After resting for a while, she supported herself with the bathtub and stood up. I will remove the needles for you. She shook her head and suppressed the discomfort. She removed the needles one by one. When she was done, Xian Xiuhe opened his eyes. It was still dark in front of him. Feeling that Sima Yue's aura was not right, he suppressed the disappointment in his heart. He held onto the edge of the bathtub with both hands and asked, "Are you okay?" Sima Yue shook her head. Thinking that he still could not see, she replied weakly that she was fine. "I can feel that your aura is not right." Xian Xiuhe was still worried. "I'm fine. It's just that my mental energy has been overused." Sima Yue said, "I only removed the seal now. Your nerves have been suppressed for so many years, so you can't see immediately." Xian Xiuhe heard that although her voice was weak, it was not intermittent. This meant that her condition was still okay. "How long will it take for me to see?" "This depends on your recovery," Sima Yue said. "However, it will not take more than 10 days. If you recover well, 3 to 5 days is possible." "Thank you. Do I still need to do it like today?" "You only need to eat pills for the next few days. You don't need to do this anymore." Sima Yue pulled him up from the bathtub. He was still wearing his pants, so there was nothing to be shy about. She placed him on the bed. It was the first time she carried a man like a princess. "Rest well. Eat 1 pill every day. You might be able to see when you open your eyes. I'll go back first." Sima Yue finished speaking and turned to leave. She did not expect him to grab her hand tightly. Chapter 1582. Sima Yue turned around and looked down at him. "What's wrong?" Xian Xiuhe also realized that his actions were a little overboard. He let go of his hand and said embarrassedly, "That can I really see it?" Sima Yue wondered what had happened to him. She did not expect him to be worried about this. They were afraid that their expectations would be met with disappointment. "Don't worry, you can," she said affirmatively. "Trust me." Xian Xiuhe heard her affirmation and didn't say anything else. He closed his eyes and rested. Even though Sima Yue was doing her best just now, he wasn't feeling well either. He was exhausted. Sima Yue opened the door and walked out. She saw Sun Yue and a man she had never seen before standing outside. Sun Yue had been guarding outside for the past 2 days. Although Sima Yue had said that she only needed 1 day, it had been almost 2 days since yesterday morning. Could something have happened inside? It wasn't until Yue opened the door and saw the smile on her face that she felt relieved. "Child, how is he? Auntie, don't worry. Everything is going well." Sima Yue took out a J bottle and handed it to Sun Yue. The seal is no longer suppressing his nerves, but if he wants to be able to walk and see, his nerves will need to be repaired. 1 pill a day. Even if you can see it, you have to finish it. When Sun Yue heard that everything was going smoothly, she finally relaxed. She took the pill. "I'll make sure he eats it every day. Then I'll go back and rest first. I'll check on him in 2 days." Sima Yue bowed to the two of them and walked past them out of the courtyard. "Let's go in and take a look." Xian Xiuhe she strode into the house and saw Xian Xiuhe lying on the bed with a complicated expression. "Father, mother." Xian Xiuhe's voice was weak. This was the first time he was like this since he grew up, causing Xian Xiuhe to swallow his words of reprimand. "Let me examine you." Xian Xiuhe came to the bedside and said. While Zhang Xian said that he was going to check on the situation of the seal, he was only going to check on the condition of the seal. Seeing that the seal was still intact and showed no signs of breaking, he retreated. "How is it?" "I told you that the seal would be fine." Sun Yue pulled him up and sat beside the bed. She held Xian Xiuhe's hand and asked, "How are you?" "Mother, I'm fine. I'm just a little tired." Xian Xiuhe replied. "Then rest well. I'll have someone stand guard outside." "Yes." Xian Xiuhe fell into a deep sleep after he finished speaking. After he fell into a deep sleep, Sun Yue and Sun Yue left. They instructed the servant girls to stand guard outside the door and reminded them to pay attention to the young master's condition before leaving. Sima Yue returned to the courtyard. Jiang Junxian and the others had all come out of the room. Seeing that her complexion was not too good, they went up to support her. "I'm fine. It's just that I overuse my mental power. I feel much better after eating the pill," Sima Yue explained when she saw Han Miaoshuang's darkened face. Han Miaoshuang and the others knew that Xian Xiu's condition was not easy to treat, so they were not surprised that she was like this. "Can't you rest well before coming back?" Sima Yue shook her head. "When I came out, I saw a man. He should be Xian Xiu's father. He made me feel uncomfortable, so I came back." "Then go back to your room and rest." They did not ask for the result. Although her complexion was not good, she was not worried or sad, which meant that it was a success. Okay, Sima Yue went back to her room and slept. When she woke up, it was already the next day. She did not go to see Xian Xiu immediately. His condition had already stabilized. As long as he ate the pill, there would be no problem. She only went to Xian Xiu's courtyard on the 5th day. Xian Xiu woke up on the 2nd day as well. After asking around, he heard that Sima Yue did not come, so he went back to sleep. On the 3rd day, she still did not come. He was a little disappointed. On the 5th day, he finally felt her presence. "How do you feel?" Sima Yue asked as she took his pulse. "I don't feel much. I just feel a little uncomfortable lying on the bed." Xian Xiu smiled. "The meridians in your legs are being repaired. It's not good to bend your legs. You could go down in 2 days." Sima Yue said, "So you're saying that I'll be able to see soon?" Xian Xiu's voice was a little excited. "Yes, your nerves are recovering well. I'm guessing that you'll be able to see in 2 or 3 days. However, you still have to eat the pill for the remaining few days." Sima Yue said, "Okay, then I'll come back in 2 days. Sorry to trouble you." "What's so troublesome about that?" Sima Yue smiled. "You're my patient. When we first met in Cloud Sea City, I've always wanted to treat your legs and eyes. Now, I'm finally going to succeed. It's also an explanation for myself." "You want to treat me since then?" "Yes. When I checked you, I realized that I was helpless. I wanted to wait for my medical skills to improve." "Why? Why was she so concerned about his matters?" Sima Yue thought for a while and said, "Probably because I felt that a good person like you should have a healthy body. Most importantly, you're my friend, not my enemy." At that time, she felt that he was like a celestial being. That pair of lifeless eyes made her heart ache. "Thank you." The smile on Xian Xiu's face deepened. Thinking about the purpose of her visit, she hesitated for a while, but still opened her mouth. "Big brother I want to take a look at your sea of consciousness again to confirm the situation of the sealed thing. Is that okay?" Xian Xiu nodded. When Sima Yue probed with her consciousness, he did not resist. Sima Yue came to Xian Xiu's sea of consciousness again. That seal was quietly staying on top of his sea of consciousness. When saw Sima Yue, it moved. Sima Yue came to its side and carefully observed the seal around it. Seeing that the seal was a little dark, she sighed softly. When she came out, Xian Xiu opened his eyes and asked, "Why did you sigh just now?" Her consciousness was in his body. Naturally, he heard her sigh. "Who made the seal for you?" Sima Yue asked. "My father and the elders." "What happened?" "Then did they say how long this seal can last?" "No." Xian Xiu felt that her tone was a little off and asked, "What's wrong?" "I realized that this seal has a time limit. I think it won't be long before this seal is broken." Sima Yue sighed. "Is it because of what happened this time?" "No." Sima Yue said, "I realized that there was something wrong with the seal the last time. Today, I want to take a closer look. That seal should be able to last for another 10 years. Xian Xiu was slightly surprised, but quickly regained his composure. Chapter 1583. Sima Yue had been looking at him the whole time. She saw that he was only momentarily surprised, but not too shocked. "Aren't you worried?" "I actually guessed it as well." Xian Xiu said, I can feel that the seal has been loosening all these years. If it wasn't for the fact that I comprehended the Tao in the immortal realm and that it suppressed me a little, I'm afraid I would have already. Then do you know what is being sealed? In any case, it's not anything good. Xianxiu, he said. Otherwise, why would they seal it up? That's not necessarily true. Sima Yue saw that he was not worried, so she did not worry for nothing. You sealed it when you were born. Maybe it was because it was too overbearing and your body couldn't bear it that time, so you sealed it. With your current physical condition and strength, you might be able to withstand that power. I hope so. Xianxiu, he smiled and didn't say anything else. Sima Yue knew that he did not want to talk about it. After all, it was his secret. I'll go back first. I'll come back in 2 days. All right. Xianxiu, he waited for her to leave before keeping the smile on his face. An unbearable power? I hope so. He couldn't cultivate, nor could he get out of bed, so he decided to just sleep. In another 2 or 3 days, he would be able to see this world. He would be able to know what the so-called colorful world was and what the blue sky and white clouds looked like. After sleeping for 2 days, when he opened his eyes again, the first thing he saw was the blue bed curtain. Seeing the bright color, he was a little dazed. Coincidentally, a servant girl came in and saw Xianxiu, his eyes open. She went forward and said, "Young master, it's time to eat the medicinal pill." "What color is this?" Xianxiu, he asked. "What?" The maidservant didn't react immediately. "I say, what color is this?" Xianxiu, he pointed at the bed curtain and turned to look at her. The maidservant stared blankly for a moment before saying excitedly, "Young master, you can see? I'll go tell mistress." After saying that, she turned around and ran out. "At least tell me what color it is." Xianxiu, he smiled. He lifted himself up and found that he could move his legs. With a little effort, he sat up. She looked at her hands and then at her legs. Then, she gently lifted her legs and got off the bed. He took 2 tentative steps and then stopped in place. "I can really walk and see now," he murmured, the corners of his mouth rising uncontrollably. He walked out of the room and stood at the door. He looked at the flowers and trees in the yard, then looked up at the blue sky and white clouds. Blue. It turned out that the color of the bed curtain was blue, the same color as the sky. When Sun Yue and the rest arrived, they saw Xianxiu, his dazed look. In the past, when she saw him, he was always calm and collected. This was probably the first time in her life that she would see him like this. She burst out laughing. "Here," she called out softly. "Mother." Xianxiu, he felt that his mother was really beautiful. "You can see and walk?" Xianxiu Fushi asked. "Yes, father." "That's good." Sun Yue looked at her son excitedly. It had been so many years. He finally saw what the world looked like. Although the smile on Xianxiu's face was still faint, they could feel the joy in his heart. "Go and invite Miss Yue over. Let her take a look at Hia," Sun Yue instructed the servant girl. Although he looked better, it was still better to take another look. When Sima Yue arrived, Xianxiu, he had already regained his composure. However, she could still feel that he was in a good mood. "Miss Yue, here can see and walk now. I called you over today to see if there are any problems with him," Sun Yue said. "All right." Sima Yue looked at Xianxiu, his side, and asked him to take his pulse. Xianxiu, his gaze fell on her the moment she came in. However, he shifted his gaze away immediately. Now that she was in front of him, he could see her even more clearly. Sima Yue took his pulse, then said to Sun Yue, "Auntie, big brother, his condition is almost better. He just needs to take the remaining 3 pills." "That's good. That's good." Sun Yue clapped her hands happily. Sima Yue saw that she was so happy and felt a little embarrassed. However, her heart was pressing and she still spoke. "Uncle, Auntie, we agreed that I would cure Big Brother and you would give me the divine medicine. Now that Big Brother he has recovered, I wonder when I can get the divine medicine?" When she said this, the house fell into silence. Xianxiu Fushi's face was very dark. There was even a hint of anger. Sun Yue's face also stiffened. "This, the divine medicine, is in the treasury. The treasury needs 3 keys to open it. That's why we can't take it out now. You go back first. Once the keys are opened, we'll go to the treasury. How about that?" Sima Yue looked at Xian Xiuhe. Seeing him nod, she knew that it was true. She could only agree and return to her own courtyard. When she returned, she told Su Xiao and the others about this. Han Miao Shuang slapped the table and said, "They knew that you had succeeded, but they didn't take out the divine medicine in advance. Are they planning to go back on their word?" What did Xian Xiuhe say? Jiang Jun Xian asked. He also said that he needed all 3 keys. However, one of the clan elders is still in seclusion refining pills. That's why we need to wait for 2 days. Sima Yue said, "I think they don't want to give it to you." Han Miao Shuang said unhappily, "Let's see how it goes." Although Sima Yue didn't want to think of the worst situation, Sun Yue and Xin Xiufu's attitudes weren't too good. "I've already sent the bees out to investigate. I hope that the worst outcome won't happen." After all, it was a divine medicine. Not everyone was willing to give it up. Moreover, Xian Xiuhe had recovered. Even if they went back on their word, his body had recovered. After waiting for 3 days, Xian Xiuhe sent a guard to tell her that the elder in charge of refining pills had come out and asked her to go to the main hall. He would also rush to the main hall. "We'll go with you," Jiang Junxian said. Previously, when she went out, they would stay in the courtyard. However, it was different this time. She didn't know what she would face. It would be fine if they gave it to her directly. However, if they went back on their word, with Yu Yu's temper, it wouldn't be good. Sima Yue thought of this as well. Hence, she agreed to his suggestion and brought them to the main hall. In the main hall, it was in full swing. Everyone didn't agree to give the divine medicine to Sima Yue. Sun Yue was very angry. She shouted at the crowd, "You guys agreed before that if she could cure little Crane, you would give her the divine medicine. Why are you going back on your word now? Who knew that she would really cure young master?" Someone muttered and said what they were thinking. "What do you mean by this? When you guys proposed this exchange condition, we didn't think that she would be able to cure young master's condition. If she can't cure him, doesn't that mean that this condition doesn't exist?" Chapter 1584. In other words, they never intended to hand over the godly medicine in the first place? Sun Yue was angered by this answer. She turned to look at her husband. "Master, what do you say?" Xian Xiufu, she glanced at her and said in a low voice, "The divine medicine belongs to the clan. Since everyone has agreed, we cannot harm the clan's interests because of our own selfish desires." Sun Yue looked at her husband in disbelief. She didn't expect him to say something like that. Since when did the hidden clan become people who go back on their words? "Master, mistress, actually it's not impossible for us to hand the magic herb over to her. As long as she becomes a member of the clan, she won't have to be so conflicted." Xian Xiuji said. "Become a member of the clan?" Everyone was stunned. "Yes," Xian Xiuji said. "Yu Yu's talent is obvious to everyone. If you can join our clan, it will only be beneficial to the clan. And this divine medicine couldn't be considered as being given to someone else. Moreover, I see that young master is very concerned about her." This, Sun Yue hesitated. Previously, she was thinking of Eastern Lily. Her background and talents were compatible with hers. "Mistress, I know that you liked Eastern Lily before, but based on what happened last time, I don't think she is suitable for the position of the future mistress." Xian Xiuji recounted the incident at the ancient mines and said, "In terms of courage and talent, Eastern Lily can't compare to Yue. The only thing she's lacking is her family background. However, I think that with her talent, she will definitely be able to make up for it. Her talent is indeed too monstrous. Just the fact that she has the divine bird, the vermilion bird, and can summon hundreds of birds is enough to overcome all forces. If you can become a member of the family, it would be a good thing. I agree too. If she can become a member of the clan, I won't object to giving her the divine medicine. I can consider it. Becoming the next mistress of the household is also a good thing for her." Everyone expressed their opinions one by one. They were very interested in Sima Yue joining their family. Sun Yue was also a little hesitant. This was indeed a good idea. Moreover, he liked her so much. If he married her, he wouldn't treat her unfairly. Sima Yue, who was walking on the road, had a gloomy look on her face. She was about to explode. The guard felt that something was amiss and turned around to take a look. Seeing that there was nothing wrong with the four of them, he turned around and continued walking. Perhaps he was mistaken. When Jiang Junxian and the other two saw her like this, they knew that things had become troublesome. Yue. Sima Yue raised her head and saw Xianxiu, he walking over from another path. She knew that this matter could not be blamed on Xianxiu he, but thinking about what she heard just now, she was still a little angry. Big brother he, have you eaten the remaining 3 pills? Xianxiu he nodded and said to the guard, you can leave. I will bring her there. Yes, young master. After the guards left, Xianxiu he walked in front of Sima Yue. He held her hand and passed something to her. Sima Yue's pupils constricted as she looked at him in shock. This, I believe that you will have a way. Xianxiu he smiled and said with a hint of guilt on his face. Sima Yue kept the item and asked, you know everything? I guessed it. If I guessed wrongly, you could just return it to me. Let's go. They should be almost done with their discussion. Xianxiu, he turned around and left after speaking. He felt that Sima Yue was still in a daze. He turned around and said, let's go. Sima Yue chased after him and smiled. Thank you. You don't have to thank me. This was originally yours. If I guessed correctly, you would have to spend a lot of effort to get it. Speaking of which, I am the one who has let you down. But I still have to thank you. Sima Yue smiled. No matter what your family is like, we are still friends. Xianxiu, he looked at the smile on her face and nodded. Okay. When they arrived at the main hall, everyone had already reached a conclusion. Uncle, Auntie, Sima Yue and Jiang Junxian bowed. They had not shed all pretense of cordiality yet. They still had to put on a show. Father, Mother, have you prepared the divine medicine? Xianxiu, he asked. This? Here, you know that the clan's rules state that the divine medicine can only be used by people in the clan. Yue is not from the clan after all. Xianxiu Fu, she said. Father, that was not what we said before. Xianxiu, he looked at him. We agreed that as long as she cured me, we would give her the divine medicine. This is an exchange. But we cannot harm the clan's interests because of you. Xianxiu Fu, she was furious as he did not expect his obedient son to oppose him in front of everyone. Patriarch, please calm down, an elder advised. Then he said to Xianxiu, Young Patriarch, we have to follow the clan's rules, right? Young Patriarch, you don't want to break your promise. We also have to consider the clan's interests. We should think of a way to get the best of both worlds. Xianxiu Ji said. Seeing Xianxiu, he staring at him. He braced himself and said, Young Patriarch, as long as Yue becomes a member of the clan, giving her the divine medicine will not be against the clan's rules. What did you say? Xianxiu, his eyes were filled with anger. His face was not as calm as usual. Young master, this is a good idea. This way, we won't go against the agreement or the clan's rules. We can even marry 2 people. I don't agree. Xianxiu, he only hesitated for a few seconds before rejecting. He did like her, but he did not want to use this method to force her. If he really did that, he was afraid that he would never be able to have her. Father, you don't have to say anymore. I will not agree. You should just give her the divine medicine. Xianxiu, his attitude was firm. If she doesn't become a member of the clan, we will definitely not give her the divine medicine. Xianxiu Fuxi's attitude was also very clear. Sun Yue looked at Yue, who had not spoken since she came in, and said, Here, don't reject so directly. You should also ask for Yue's opinion. What if she agrees? Yue, if we use the divine medicine as a betrothal gift and let you and her get married, will you be willing? Xianxiu, he looked at Sima Yue. His breathing skipped a beat, and there was a faint anticipation in his eyes. Sima Yue smiled and asked back, Auntie, do you think that I should agree? If you marry you will be the next matriarch of our clan. You will be able to receive the full support of our clan. With your talent, it is possible for you to become an emperor in the future. Furthermore, this way, you will also be able to obtain the divine medicine, right? Sima Yue pretended to think seriously for a while. Big brother, he is a dragon among men. The Yin clan's foundation is also very high. From the looks of it, Your conditions are indeed very attractive. However, Auntie, you seem to be avoiding it. You promised to give me the divine medicine. If I cure Big Brother, you should fulfill your promise. If you don't become a member of our clan, we will not give it to you. Sima Yue smiled, and her eyes were filled with sarcasm. Let me think about it. I will give you an answer in 3 days. Chapter 1585. Little junior sister, you won't really agree to their request, right? Han Miaoshuang didn't expect Sima Yue to say that she would consider it. It was hard to say in the hall, but now that they were out of there, she naturally asked the question in her heart. What do you think? Sima Yue glanced at her with a smile. She was not angry. Little junior sister, are you not angry? Sima Yue looked at the mountains in the distance and sighed faintly. She said slowly, if Big Brother did the same thing, I would definitely be angry. Fortunately, he wasn't. As for the others, they have nothing to do with me. What's there to be angry about? If you make me feel uncomfortable, I'll just take my revenge. Only those who care about them will get angry for them. It's good that you've accepted it, Su Xiaoxiao said. What should we do next? How are you going to answer them in 3 days? Sima Yue sneered. We don't need 3 days. If they don't change their minds before tomorrow night, we don't have to worry about anything. Let's go back first. They waited from morning till night, but there was still no one from the Xianxiu clan. However, they realized that there were more experts around. Han Miaoshuang was furious. They were going to monitor and imprison them. Little junior sister, I just heard news that Xianxiu, he was locked up by his father. Han Miaoshuang had just returned from outside and told Sima Yue. When they left the hall, Xianxiu, he was still inside. Scarlet Bee said that he, who had always been indifferent, fought with his family members until his face and ears turned red. Sima Yue's face darkened. It seems like they're not going to fulfill their promise. Then we don't have to wait until tomorrow. Let's do this tonight. All right. That night, Sima Yue and the other 3 disappeared from the house. No one outside knew anything about it. When Sima Yue and the rest came out, they were already in the mountains. This is their treasure pavilion? Han Miaoshuang looked around in disbelief. Of course, this isn't the treasure pavilion. However, it is where the divine medicine is. Sima Yue said, the divine medicine is here? Yes. Sima Yue nodded. Brother, he brought me here before. He pointed to the place where the divine medicine was. Come with me. She brought them to the foot of a mountain and entered the cave. Not long after they entered, they saw a stone door with 3 keyholes. Junior sister, are you sure the divine medicine is here? Su Xiaoxiao was a little hesitant. Since it's the family's divine medicine, why is there no one guarding it? Shouldn't there be an ancestor or a very powerful person guarding it? They are too confident. Sima Yue was not surprised. The Xianxiu family originally lived in a space that was opened up. Without someone from the Xianxiu family, they would not be able to come here. And now, there are only a few outsiders in the entire family. Our strength is no different from crushing an ant in their eyes. Moreover, without those 3 keys, no matter how strong one was, they wouldn't be able to enter. Therefore, there was nothing to worry about. Moreover, if I'm not wrong, there should be some sort of mechanism or barrier inside. Most importantly, the clansmen of the Xianxiu family did not know that the divine medicine was here. They all thought that it was in the treasure room. Jiang Junxian went up to take a look at the door. He turned back and said, I'm afraid we still have to get the keys. We can't open this stone door with our strength. Eldest senior brother, let me do it. Sima Yue walked over and took out 3 keys. She inserted them into the door. Junior sister, how did you get the keys? Han Miaoshuang thought of something after asking. Is this the thing that Xianxiu, he gave you in the day? When they met in the morning, Sima Yue was in front of the 3 of them. That was why they knew that Xianxiu, he gave her something. But they didn't expect it to be the key here. I didn't expect him to be able to do this. Even Jiang Junxian sighed. Kacha, sigh. Following the crisp sound in her sigh, the stone door retreated to both sides, revealing a dark cave. Sima Yue took out 2 light pearls, and the entire cave was lit up. The cave was not big. It was not much bigger than a room. There was a stone platform in the middle. On the stone platform, there was a 1-foot-tall divine medicine. On the tip of the plant, there was a fiery red fruit. They just entered the door and felt an obstruction. This spirit barrier should be set up by an expert. If we want to barge in, I'm afraid that before we can break it, the people from Xianxiu clan will come. No wonder they don't have anyone guarding it. With this kind of spirit barrier, how many old people can it stop? Han Miaoshuang pouted. Xianxiu clan's spirit barrier attainment has always been ahead of other hidden clans. It's not strange that they can set up such a spirit barrier. Jiang Junxian smiled and scrupulously. It's a pity that they believe in this spirit barrier too much. Other than Junior's sister, no one can ignore this spirit barrier, right? Han Miaoshuang smiled happily. Junior's sister, quickly go in and pluck that divine medicine. Sima Yue called out Little Roar. After fusing, they went through the spirit barrier and entered the cave. She came to the front of the stone platform and looked at the divine medicine growing in the crack of the stone. Her eyes were burning. After so many years, she could finally help her father reconstruct his meridians. She plucked the divine medicine excitedly and put it in a jade bottle. Just as she was about to walk out, she suddenly heard something and stopped. What's wrong? She heard them say that this divine medicine will be discovered once it leaves the spirit barrier. Sima Yue said, in order to avoid trouble, it's better to let father take the pill first. With the strength of those old guys, it would only take a few breaths for them to come here after discovering that the divine medicine was gone. So she had to take the divine medicine first. By then, they wouldn't be able to get it back. With a thought, Sima Luxian came out of the spirit pagoda. Father, this is rebirth from the ashes. This is Phoenix Nirvana. This is the body protection pill that I refined for you before. Take the body protection pill first. Sima Yue handed the medicine to him. Sima Luxian looked at her. Her eyes were shining. He didn't say anything about not being willing to let her take the risk. His daughter went through so much trouble to get this medicine. He had to get better so that he wouldn't let her down. He took the body protection pill. After half an hour, the medicine took effect. Sima Yue handed the divine medicine to him. Father, this process will be more difficult. Bear with it. As soon as Sima Yue finished speaking, Sima Luxian rolled on the ground in pain. It was very uncomfortable. Father, Sima Yue rushed over and grabbed Sima Luxian, who was rolling on the ground. She transferred her spiritual energy into his body to guide the medicine. Leave it to us. Qi Yin appeared beside her. Qing Yi, little 7, and I will take good care of him. You have to drag it out for a while. Otherwise, I won't be able to come out and fight. Sima Yue also felt it. When Sima Luxian took the pill, the Xianxiu family got the news. At this time, a group of people had already gathered outside the cave. Even through the thick stone door, she could feel the murderous intent outside. Chapter 1586. 1 second to remember, love divided by you. Read, book, webno pop-up window, free to read. Little junior sister, what do we do now? Su Xiaoxiao looked at Sima Yue. If she said to go out now, they would go out immediately to buy time for her. I see that there are 3 keys. 2 of them are newer and 1 of them is older. I think they don't have all the keys outside. If they can't bear to leave this stone room, they won't attack immediately. Jiang Junxian said, so you're saying that we can buy some time? Hopefully. Sima Yue said, but I think they won't wait long. Since they can't come in now, I'll go in and see father first. She called out 1,000 resonance to transform into her appearance. At the same time, she entered the spirit pagoda. Everything happened in the blink of an eye. If they didn't see the change in position, Han Miaoshuang and the others wouldn't know that they had changed people. Sima Yue came to the spirit pagoda. Sima Luxian sat in the spirit pagoda. Crimson Flame, little 7 and Qing Yi sat by the side of the spirit pagoda. They transferred their spirit energy into Sima Luxian's body to help him resist the medicine and refine his body. Seeing the spirit fluid entering her father's body, she was a little worried. She didn't know if his body could take it. Little Spirit appeared beside her and said, "Don't worry. Crimson Flame said that the spirit fluid can neutralize the effects of the two divine medicines. The three types complement each other. Little 7 and Qing E won't be affected by it, right? It will be affected, but since they're willing to help you, you just have to accept it. Little Spirit said, I just feel that I've been troubling Qing E recently, but I can't do anything to help him. I feel bad. Sima Yue understood that it was better for Qing E to help him than to just consume his essence. She said that she wouldn't ask for anything from him before, but now she looked for him a few times. Little Spirit knew what she was thinking and smiled. Qing E isn't someone who will grant every request. He's willing to help you because he recognizes you and thinks that you're worth helping. You feel that you didn't help him much, but in his eyes, you saved Little 7 and loved her. You never thought of using Little 7. In his eyes, that's good. Sima Yue did not expect Little Spirit to say such words and looked at him curiously. He's been living with me for so long. How can I not know what he's thinking? Little Spirit gave her a supercilious look. Don't worry, with the three of them, your father will definitely be able to survive this time. You should focus on dealing with the matters outside. Yes, I know. Looking at Sima Lu Xian's current appearance, she knew that he would be fine, but knowing that the situation outside was still stable, she stayed in the Spirit Pagoda for a while. Outside the cave, more and more experts from the Xianxiu clan swarmed in. Patriarch, what's going on? What happened to the divine medicine? Patriarch. At this moment, Xianxiu Fuxi's face was extremely dark. At this moment, the person he sent to investigate returned and said, Patriarch, Sima Yue and the other three are not in the house. What? Is that Sima Yue? How did she get in? It doesn't matter how she got in now. The most important thing now is to not let the divine medicine fall into her hands. It's too late. A white-haired elder said, the divine medicine has already been plucked and brought out of the spirit barrier. Since she dares to snatch our secret clan's divine medicine, then we'll just kill her. That's right. Xianxiu Ji heard these people's words the moment he arrived and was shocked. He stepped forward and said, Patriarch, this Sima Yue is the contracted master of the Vermilion Bird. If you kill her, I'm afraid that the Bird Clan will take revenge. Please reconsider. Xianxiu Ji, you want to protect her? This isn't a problem of protecting her or not. If the Bird Clan invades us, can we stop them? Xianxiu Ji asked. This is our place. If we say that she died here, then she died here. If we say that she left, then she left. Without evidence, how dare they invade our clan? All right, Xianxiu Fu, she shouted at the two of them, then said to the others, go and open the stone door. Patriarch, if we forcefully open it, then this place will be destroyed. The white-haired elder said, but if we don't open it, what if she eats it inside? She won't eat it, Xianxiu Ji said. She took the divine medicine to heal her father. Who knows if she's just using this as an excuse? She might be using this method to deceive young master, but she actually wants to use it herself. Xianxiu Fu, she hesitated. This stone room could be said to be a treasure of the Xianxiu clan. They had spent a lot of effort to build it. The most important thing was that this was left behind by their ancestors. If it was destroyed now, they would not have the face to face their ancestors. However, if Sima Yue and the rest hid inside and did not come out with the divine medicine in her hands, who knows what would happen? On one hand, it was the inheritance of their ancestors. On the other hand, it was the anger towards Sima Yue. Xianxiu Fu, she felt that he had never hated anyone so much before. He clenched his fists tightly. If Sima Yue was in front of him, he would definitely not be able to control himself and kill her. Patriarch, we can't delay. This. Patriarch, open the door. The white-robed old man saw that he could not change his mind. He flew in front of everyone and condensed spiritual energy to attack the mountain. Boom! The earth shook and the mountain shook. The entire mountain was flattened by the spiritual energy, leaving only half of the mountain. After the stone room was attacked, it automatically formed a barrier enveloping the stone room inside. There's actually a barrier? Seeing the barrier, The faces of the Xian Qiu clan members turned ugly. They did not think that their own barrier would actually attack their own people. Patriarch, this barrier is not easy to deal with. This barrier was set up by the Grand Supreme Ancestor. Although he has already passed away, this barrier is not something that you and I can touch. Xian Qiu Fu, she said. Then what do we do? Go and bring young master here. Xian Qiu Fu, she ordered the people beside him. When those people heard Xian Qiu He, they remembered that he could enter the barrier, and their eyes lit up. Young master was also someone who could enter the barrier. That person immediately went to invite Xian Qiu He and quickly brought him over. Young master, please break this barrier. Xian Qiu He glanced at that person and said indifferently, I don't have any spiritual energy right now. I can't do anything. Young master, could it be that Sima Yue did this? Xian Qiu He glanced at Xian Qiu Fu she indifferently and did not say anything. Let young master eat this. Xian Qiu Fu she took out a pill, and someone immediately gave it to Xian Qiu He to eat. Xian Qiu He held the pill, and a smile appeared on his face. It was not as warm as before. Instead, it had a hint of sarcasm. In the day, you made me eat poison so that I could not use spiritual energy for the time being. And to prevent me from coming here to take the divine medicine, you even delayed the effects of the antidote for a few hours. Do you feel good now? Chapter 1587. It was the first time Xian Qiu clan's people heard Xian Qiu He speak like this. They were all stunned for a moment. Also, did the patriarch poison him? Why? Wasn't he only able to see and walk? Why did the patriarch poison him? When Xian Qiu Fu she heard his words, he was just about to scold him when he saw him swallow the medicinal pill and sit on the ground. He closed his eyes to rest and no longer paid attention to anyone else. This made Xian Qiu Fu she swallow his words. Master, how long do we have to wait? For hours. After Xian Qiu Fu she finished speaking, he also waited. With that, the others also stopped and waited for Xian Qiu He to recover his strength. Xian Qiu He sat on the ground and looked at the dark sky, his eyes lifeless. This was the first time he felt so unfamiliar with the place he had lived in for so many years and the people he had spent hundreds of years with. Perhaps it was because the family's interests were the same in the past, so there had never been any disagreements. Therefore, he had never seen such a selfish side of these people. Perhaps the family had always been like this. It was just that he couldn't see it in the past and didn't participate in the family's affairs, so he didn't see it. In the past, he had always felt that the Northern Du clan was filthy, the Eastern Lai clan was selfish, and the Ouyang clan was hypocritical. Although his Xian Qiu clan strength was not the strongest, they were indeed the most upright. But from the looks of it, this time, it was just SOSO. If it wasn't for him, if he was still blind, would he be able to see this unbearable side of her? He closed his eyes, his face filled with grief. Inside the stone room, Jiang Junxian and the others were on tenterhooks from the first attack. He wanted to go out and buy some time, but he didn't expect them to stop attacking after a few attacks. Stopped? Han Miaoshuang looked up in disbelief. There's a barrier outside. Thousand Resonance said. Barrier? A place like this should have a barrier protecting it. Jiang Junxian said. It's usually used to defend against enemies and protect the stone room. I didn't expect that the Xian Qiu clan would be blocked outside today. That's good. I hope we can buy some time for little junior sister, said Su Xiao. Yeah, I hope we can drag it out a little longer. Thousand Resonance nodded. Time ticked by. Whether it was the people inside or outside the stone room, they were all very sensitive to time. The people outside hoped that time would pass slower, while the people inside hoped that time would pass faster. No matter how much the people inside and outside looked forward to it, for hours still passed. Have you recovered? Then let's go in. Xian Qiu Fu Shi's voice suddenly rang out. Xian Qiu, he heard it and smiled faintly, standing up from the ground. For some reason, although his smile was the same as before, everyone felt that he was different from before. However, they couldn't tell what was different about him. Xian Qiu, he arrived outside the stone door. When he was passing through the enchantment, He only felt a slight obstruction, but he could still enter. He looked at the 3 keyholes on the stone door, and his eyes flashed. Here, quickly break this barrier, Xuanqiu Fushi ordered. Father, this barrier was left behind by the grand ancestor. Do you really want to destroy it? Xianxiu, he looked at his father who was outside. Just open it, Xianxiu Fushi said with his hands behind his back. Xianxiu, he was still a little hesitant. If he opened the barrier, they would definitely break open the stone room in a few moves. However, how long could Sima Yue and the others stay in there? Here, quickly, Xianxiu Fushi urged. Young master, please do it. That's right, young master. If anything happens to the divine medicine, it would be a misfortune for the clan. That's right, young master. Xianxiu, he heard all sorts of urging voices outside, and the smile on his face faded. Kacha, just as he was hesitating, the stone door behind him suddenly opened, and Sima Yue walked out alone. Big brother he. Yue, why did you come out? Xianxiu, he frowned. It's okay. Sima Yue walked out, smiled at Xianxiu he, and said helplessly, We still came to this step. Yue, big brother he, I will remember your friendship in my heart. However, we agreed before that I will treat your illness, and you will give me the divine medicine. Therefore, I will not compromise on this matter. However, on account of your friendship, as long as they don't attack, I will not take their lives. Ha ha, what an arrogant tone. Someone laughed. The others also looked as if they had heard a joke, and looked at Sima Yue as if they were looking at an idiot. No one has said such words for tens of thousands of years, right? TSK. I didn't expect to hear such words today. Xianxiu, he saw Sima Yue's confident look and felt that it was funny, but the smile on his face became more genuine. Sima Yue did not explain and walked out step by step. With every step she took, the aura on her body changed, and when she reached the entrance of the cave, her aura had completely changed. When the people outside saw her change, they were all shocked. Sima Yue smiled at them. Patriarch Xianxiu, I said just now, on account of big brother he, if you let me leave, I will not pursue the matter of you going back on your words. Xianxiu Fushi looked at Sima Yue with a complicated expression. I didn't expect you to be from the divine clan. There are always some unexpected things in life. What do you think, Patriarch Xianxiu? She did not even want to call him uncle anymore. Where's the divine medicine? The white-robed elder asked. I've already used it. Sima Yue said. Impossible. Didn't you say that it was for your father? How could you use it directly? What's impossible about it? I did give the divine medicine to my father. How is that possible? Your father is not around. You brought your father here? That's right. Sima Yue smiled. The divine medicine is already in my father's body. You can't do anything about it, even if you want it. No, Patriarch, she is from a Sima family. Her father is Sima Lu Xian, and she is not from the divine clan. Patriarch, don't be fooled by her. Xianxiu Rome shouted. With a shout, some people woke up from their shock. Sima Yue's identity was well known. How could she suddenly become a member of the divine clan? She must have used some method to deceive everyone, allowing her to have the aura of the divine clan. Patriarch, no matter what method she used, she is definitely not from the divine clan. Maybe she has some relationship with the divine clan. As long as we kill her here, even the divine clan will not know. Xianxiu Rong continued. Xianxiu Fu, she looked at Sima Yue quietly, wanting to see something from her, but there was nothing but indifference on her face. Sima Yue chuckled. With a thought, the small door to Little Black Lotus Realm appeared in her hand. Chapter 1588. Patriarch Xianxiu, are you going to move aside or not? Sima Yue asked. Xianxiu Fu, she was thinking about Sima Yue's words and weighing the pros and cons. After a moment of silence, he said, Niece, we said before that the godly medicine can only be given to the family members. Now that you've taken the divine medicine, if you marry her, we won't pursue what happened today. Huh, Sima Yue sneered. I've already said that I won't pursue this matter for the sake of big brother he. I didn't ask you to pretend to be good people. You wanted to join a treacherous family? You're dreaming. Niece, Although you have a certain relationship with the gods, you are not one of them. Even if I destroy you again, no one will know. Our conditions are already the greatest concession we can make, Xianxiu Fushi threatened. Patriarch Xianxiu, there's something that you might not know. Before coming here, I went to the god race. They know that I will come here. If I disappear now, will they let you go? Even if you say that something happened to me after I left, they still won't believe you. Besides, I didn't say that I was the only one from the god race. After saying that, she injected spiritual energy into the small door, and the little black lotus realm opened. Feng Xiang led the Feng people out of the little black lotus realm and stood behind Sima Yue. Xianxiu Fushi, how dare you? You even dare to kill the young miss of the Feng people. Feng Xiang shouted. Xianxiu Fushi naturally knew Feng Xiang. When he interacted with the Feng people in the past, he always interacted with Feng Xiang. He naturally knew her position among the Feng people. She did not expect Sima Yue to bring along the phoenix fragrance. Xianxiu, he also knew about the Feng people. When he saw the Feng people, his feelings were complicated. On one hand, Sima Yue would definitely be able to leave safely today. On the other hand, the fact that she brought people from the Feng people here meant that she never trusted the Xianxiu clan in him. Big Brother Crane, it's not a matter of whether I believe you or not. I'm used to being cautious. Sima Yue saw the hurt in his eyes and said, if I didn't believe you, I wouldn't have waited until now. But I've disappointed you. Xianxiu, he smiled bitterly. He really didn't think that the people in his clan would be like this. No, you didn't disappoint me. On the contrary, I'm very happy that you've let me know that I didn't recognize the wrong person. Sima Yue could not help but comfort him when she saw his gaze. Young miss, should we directly exterminate them? Feng Xiang asked. Sima Yue shifted her gaze away from Xianxiu, and looked at the people guarding outside. She sighed and said, if they are willing to let us go, then let's forget about it this time. Miss, are we just going to let it go? Feng Xiang looked at Sima Yue in surprise. From what she knew, Yue was not the kind of person who would let it go after being bullied. This time, she was actually going to let it go without doing anything. Sima Yue did not answer her. Instead, she looked at Xianxiu Fushi and asked, Clan leader Xianxiu, what do you say? What should he say? What else could he say? He had never been so useless in his life. At this moment, a figure appeared in front of Xianxiu Fushi. The moment he appeared, everyone in the Xianxiu clan bowed to him and respectfully called him Old Ancestor. The Old Ancestor of the Xianxiu clan glanced at Xianxiu Fushi. He felt as if his body was frozen. Old Ancestor. Xianxiu Fushi knew that the Old Ancestor was angry. You've completely disgraced the Xianxiu clan. Since you've even forgotten about etiquette, I think we should choose a new clan leader. The Old Ancestor scolded. Old Ancestor, please calm down. Everyone in the Xianxiu clan knelt down. They were all frightened by him. Old Ancestor Xianxiu ignored them. He cupped his hands towards Sima Yue and said, Yue, my Xianxiu clan is in the wrong. Please don't be angry. The divine medicine is what you deserve. Also, we will give you a gift as an apology. Sima Yue pursed her lips. He scolded Xianxiu Fushi the moment he arrived and then apologized to her. It was obvious that he did not want her to pursue the matter. Although he said that he was apologizing, he did not have much sincerity. She was too lazy to talk nonsense with them. Other than Xianxiu, she did not want to care about anyone else in the Xianxiu clan. But you're saying that you won't pursue the matter today? Can we leave now? As long as you don't pursue the matter. Old Ancestor Xianxiu said. Xiang, let's go. Sima Yue did not want to stay here at all. Wait. Old Ancestor Xianxiu called out to her. You've been tired for the whole night. Why don't you go back and rest first? You can leave after we prepare some gifts. How about that? Forget about the apology. Sima Yue said, you don't have to prepare those things. We can't be friends anymore. I'll feel uncomfortable if I take them. Yue, look, it's better to squash enmity than keep it alive. You and he are friends. We've already admitted our mistake. Can't we just let it go? No. Sima Yue rejected their good intentions. I won't pursue the matter today, but it doesn't mean that it didn't happen. If not for Aunt Xiang and the rest, I'm afraid that today would have a different ending. I'm already letting you go because of Big Brother he. Don't ask for too much. Aunt Xiang, let's go. If she accepted their gifts today, it meant that she would not pursue the matter and the two clans would still be friends. Unfortunately, she did not have such a good heart. Old ancestor Xian Xiu looked at Xian Xiu he, hoping that he would say something. Xian Xiu, he lowered his head and ignored him. Feng Xiang directly tore open the space and left with Sima Yue and the rest, leaving the Xian Xiu clan to face the ruins. Old ancestor Xian Xiu wanted to stop them, but seeing that Feng Xiang directly tore open their space, he could only stare blankly as they left. This was the space opened by the ancestors of the Xian Xiu clan. It was different from the outside world. He did not expect her to tear it open just like that. The God clan was indeed powerful. The morning sun shone down. It was a scene of hope, but the Xian Xiu clan felt that they had fallen into an ice cellar. Old ancestor. Finally, someone could not stand the strange silence and shouted. Old ancestor Xian Xiu turned around and looked at the people kneeling on the ground. He said emotionlessly, "Open the ancestral hall. Bring Xian Xiu Fushi over." The ancestral hall enshrined the ancestral tablets. Some of the ancestors even left a trace of their consciousness inside. If there were no major matters, the ancestral hall would not be opened. Now that the ancestral hall was opened, everyone panicked when they thought about what he said about changing the head of the clan. The head of the clan was not dead, and he wanted to depose the head of the clan. This was something that had never happened before. Old ancestor, the head of the clan, is doing this for the benefit of the clan. Please reconsider. Old ancestor, please reconsider. For the benefit of the clan? If he is doing this for the benefit of the clan, he should not go against Sima Yue. Bring him away. Old ancestor Xian Xiu ordered. A few guards appeared out of thin air and brought Xian Xiu Fushi to the ancestral hall. Chapter 1589. Sima Yue was the contracted master of the vermilion bird. She had the right to command all the birds, not to mention that she had so many forces behind her. If Xian Xiu Fu, she was truly thinking for his family. He should not have offended her. It wasn't that such a thing hadn't happened before, but the other party was just someone who could be easily manipulated. It was fine if they went back on their word. Was it the same for Sima Yue? He didn't even use his brain. Short-sighted. And now, it was too late to say anything. Sima Yue did not care about what happened to the Xian Xiu family. The Xian Xiu clan would probably not interact with them in the future. After leaving the Xian Xiu residence, Sima Yue asked Feng Xiang to stop. "Aunt Xiang, let's stop here." Sima Yue looked at Feng Xiang. "Thank you for today. Your business is our business. You don't have to thank me," Feng Xiang said with a smile. She really liked Sima Yue's temperament. She did not have the temper of other young ladies. Even though she was recognized by the Great Lord, she was still so calm. Now that the divine medicine is in our hands, I don't think the people from the Xian Xiu clan will chase after us. I know that Annie Xiang is usually busy. I'm fine here. If you want to go back to Feng people. Miss, before we left the Feng people, the Lord said that we will follow you in the future. Feng Xiang said with a smile. Follow me from now on? Not this time. Sima Yue opened her mouth in surprise. Yes, the Lord said, we often walk around outside, so we know more people. This face is the identity of the Feng people. Others will recognize us if we go out, so as to prevent those ignorant people from provoking the young miss. At the same time, I can also protect you. But I'm not used to having so many people around me. Sima Yue said, there are so many of you. If all of you follow me, I'll be surrounded by a group of people wherever I go. That doesn't matter. Your little realm's environment is pretty good. It's very suitable for cultivation. We usually have our own things to do, so we rarely calm down to cultivate. This is a good opportunity for us. Feng Xiang and the others also liked the little realm. All right then, you can cultivate inside. If anything happens, I will inform you in advance. Sima Yu opened the little realm and let them in. She looked around and saw that there was no one around. She flashed into the spirit pagoda. Little Seven and Chi Yin didn't stay by the soul pool anymore. Sima Lu Xian was also moved into the house by Little Spirit. After such a long time, his condition had stabilized. When Sima Yue entered the house, he opened his eyes for a moment before closing them again. The extreme pain made him feel that staying awake was a luxury. "Father, let me take your pulse." She walked over and grabbed his hand. That scorching temperature made him feel like he was being roasted on a fire. She carefully sensed the situation in his body. Just as Little Spirit had said, the soul fluid had neutralized the effects of rising from the ashes and nirvana of the phoenix. With the protection of Little Seven and Qing Yi's strength, even if every inch of his meridians were being reconstructed and expanded, it still wouldn't affect his body. His meridians hadn't been completely reconstructed, but he had already controlled the effects of the divine medicine. It was slowly recovering. When it was completely recovered, his strength would be restored. Sima Yue probed his spirit ocean. It was different from the previous withered and gloomy state. It had regained its color. The withered spirit ocean finally had some movement. Although it was just a little bit, it almost made her cry. "Father, you're recovering well. Take this pill. It can relieve some of the pain." She took out a pill and fed it to Sima Lu Xian. Fortunately, the pill melted in his mouth. Otherwise, he wouldn't have the strength to swallow it. Hearing movement outside the door, she got up and went out. She saw Su Xiao Xiao and the others outside. "Little junior sister, is your father all right?" Han Miao Shuang asked. "He's still recovering. Every inch of his meridians needs to be reconstructed. This process is longer and more painful. Fortunately, the divine medicine can not only reconstruct his meridians, but also increase his strength. In addition to the essence of Little Seven and the others, Father's strength will not be a problem. He might even be able to increase it." Sima Yue smiled. "That's good." Han Miao Shuang was happy for her. She finally had another load off her mind. In the past, when they heard her talk about what she wanted to do, they all felt tired for her. Now that there was another load, she could relax a little. "Little junior sister, how did you solve the Xian Qiu family's problem?" Jiang Jun Xian asked. In the stone room, just as the people outside were forcing Xian Qiu to open the spirit barrier, Sima Yue came out of the spirit pagoda. Not only did she keep 1,000 residents in the spirit pagoda, she also kept the 3 of them in. In order not to disturb Qi Yin and the others, Little Spirit didn't inform them of the situation outside. So Jiang Jun Xian and the others didn't know how she left the Xian Qiu family. Sima Yue told them what happened before. She also told them about the foam people. The 3 of them were stunned. "I didn't expect the divine clan to be above the hidden clan. If we knew about their identity, we wouldn't have to worry about you." Han Miao Shuang patted Sima Yue's shoulder hard to express her feelings. Sima Yue received 2 slaps. Anyway, her body was good, so it didn't hurt at all. "Since we're already out of the Xianxiu family, let's go out too. We haven't taken a good look at the inner region," Su Xiao said. "Oh right, little junior sister, are we going to look for Master next?" She said before that after getting the divine medicine and treating Sima Lu Xian, they would look for Su Jin. That was why he asked, we're going to look for Master. However, I have to go back to the family first. I'm still worried about the Qi spirit. I don't know if great-grandfather and the others went back obediently." Sima Yue said, "Also, we have to understand where Master and the others are. We can't blindly look for them." "Then let's go back first." Han Miao Shuang thought that Sima Yue would wait for Sima Lu Xian to fully recover before leaving. She didn't expect that she would immediately take them out of the spirit pagoda and find a city with a spatial ship. They took the spatial ship back to the Sima family. 3 months later, Sima Yue and the others returned to the Sima family. At this time, Sima Lu Xian's body was fully recovered. Before returning to the family, she brought him out. At this time, he looked completely different. Although he looked relatively calm before, his eyes revealed the vicissitudes of life and sorrow. The current him was like a rusty, treasured sword that had recovered its sharpness in the past. He actually gave people a feeling of superiority. Huang Yingying and the others saw their son who had recovered his usual vigor. Her eyes were filled with tears as she patted his shoulder. She was so emotional that she couldn't speak. I knew that Yu was still here. She would definitely be able to cure you. Now it seems that she didn't disappoint. Sima Lufeng circled Sima Lucian twice and said with a smile, "No, you're stronger than before. Could it be that you've advanced?" Chapter 1590. Sima Lucian saw the look of disbelief on Sima Lufeng's face and reached out to pat his shoulder, saying, "You've been slacking off all these years." In other words, he admitted that he had advanced. Not only had she recovered her strength, but she had also improved. This girl was really good to her father. Sima Lufeng was envious. If only he had such a considerate child. At this moment, Sima Lufeng, who had always been engrossed in cultivation, had the thought of having children for the first time. It's a pity that this head of white hair can't be changed. Sima Luyan was a little regretful. So be it. When mother sees father like this in the future, she will be able to understand what he has done. Sima Yue said with a smile, "And I think father looks good like this." "Yue, is there something wrong with his body?" "I won't." The melanin in her father's hair had changed when he was in Ghost City. "It won't affect anything." Sima Yue said, "That's good. Since you're back, then stay at home and cultivate properly." Sima Xiuqi said, "Don't do such foolish things in the future." Sima Lucian wanted to say that it wasn't a stupid thing to do, but when he thought of his disappearance and his parents and brothers looking for him for decades, he couldn't bring himself to say it. Sima Yue stepped forward and held Sima Xiuqi's arm, asking, "Grandpa, how is the Qiling? I heard that many people died after we left, but one day there was nothing. It was as if nothing had happened." Sima Xiuqi said, "All gone?" Han Miao Shuang cried out in surprise. "Yes, the Qi spirit is gone, and the mausoleum is empty. When everyone went in, they only saw corpses all over the ground. Although they did not see it with their own eyes, they could imagine the scene at that time. It seems like they've all retreated. I wonder why they're doing this." Sima Yue was puzzled. Kim must have some kind of secret. As long as they don't provoke us, we won't care about this for now. Sima Yue said, "Grandpa, I have something to ask you." "What is it? Do you know where the Lost Lands are? Do you know anything about that place?" "Lost Lands?" Huang Yingying almost dropped the teacup she had just picked up. She looked at Sima Yue in surprise and asked, "Why are you asking about that?" Sima Yue told her about how Su Jin and Gulang went to the Lost Land to find a solution to her body's problem. Then she said, "They have been gone for so many years." Director Mao said that they haven't sent any news back for a long time. "Although their life plates are still intact, my senior brothers and sisters are very worried about them, so we want to go and look for them." Hearing that they had lost contact because of her, the words of persuasion that were on the tip of their tongue could not come out. Huang Yingying and Sima Xiuqi looked at each other. Both of them were equally worried. "Grandpa, do you know about the Lost Land?" Sima Yue understood when she saw their reaction. "Yes, in order to find little Xian, we went to the Lost Lands and almost didn't make it out. There are many experts there, and it's very dangerous. If you want to go, your grandpa and I will go with you. We also have to bring some people." Huang Yingying said. Sima Yue thought about it. If she didn't agree, they wouldn't let her go. So she nodded and replied, "It will attract attention if there are too many people. If you go, you have to stay in the little realm." "That's not a problem. As long as she brought it with her, it would be fine if she could use it at the crucial moment." "Grandpa, what is the Lost Lands? Why is it so mysterious?" Sima Yue asked. "The Lost Lands is the same as the Ghost City. It doesn't exist in this continent." Sima Xiuqi's words piqued everyone's interest. Sima Yue was only surprised for a moment before she accepted it. The world was so big. Since there was a Ghost City, there would naturally be other similar places. "Grandpa Qi, why is it called the Lost Lands? Why is it so mysterious?" "We heard from Director Mao that we can only send news out from the inside. There's no way to send news back from the outside." Han Miao Shuang asked curiously. "The Lost Lands is a place where the Divine Clan used to live. After the Divine Clan fell, the place where they lived became smaller. The Lost Lands also became mysterious. The people who live there now are more or less related to the Divine Clan. Sima Xiao Qi explained. Divine Clan? Little junior sister, did you go to the Lost Lands the last time? Divine Clan? You are related to the Divine Clan? The Sima family stared at her with their eyes wide open. Yes. Sima Yue was frightened by their stares and subconsciously moved closer to her father. But the place I went to last time wasn't the Lost Lands. Feng people are the real descendants of the Divine Clan. They are much nobler than those who are related to the Divine Clan. The real Divine Clan? You know them? Not only does little junior sister know them, they have a good relationship. Really? Aunt Feng is the lord of Feng people. The last time I left G City, I went to Feng people and cured Aunt Feng's old illness. I got the recognition of the Feng people. Sima Yue said, Aunt Feng might be the only overlord in this world. What? Overlord? Is there really an overlord? Yue, you're not lying to us, right? The Sima family was shocked. Was there still an overlord in this world? Wasn't it suppressed by the heavenly Tao, and there hadn't been an overlord for hundreds of thousands of years? Aunt Feng advanced in a different way. She's not the overlord recognized by the heavenly Tao. Sima Yue said. Even so, it's still very powerful. Sima Lu Feng sighed. Sima Xiao Qi calmed down and said, since that's the case, it shouldn't be too dangerous to go to the Lost Lands. Since the people there are related to the Divine Clan, they should know about the Feng people. You're recognized by the Lord of Feng people. They shouldn't dare to do anything to you. That's good. When we go there, junior sister will be our talisman. Han Miaoshuang smiled. Sima Yue wasn't so optimistic. She sighed and said, I hope we can find Master and the others smoothly. When do you plan to leave? In a few days. Sima Yue said, we've been on the road recently. Rest well and prepare more things to prevent them from being in a mess. Then I'll go out. Sima Lu Xian said, Father, are you going to look for Master? Sima Yue asked. Sima Lu Xian's body was unnatural for a moment. Yes, I have something to do with him. Go ahead. Sima Yue blinked at him. She didn't expose his thoughts. When they first met, Master must have ridiculed him. Now that he had recovered his strength, he had to show off in front of Master. She didn't expect her father to have such a childish side. Chapter 1591. Sima Lu Xian knew that his daughter was laughing at him, but there was nothing to be embarrassed about. Feng Zhixing was too arrogant the last time they met. At the same time, he was envious of his daughter. If he knew that Yue had healed his body, he would definitely be jealous. He followed his previous method and went to a small, inconspicuous shop. The shopkeeper had been here for 100 years, so he naturally knew Sima Lu Xian. Young Master Lu Xian, what brings you here today? The shopkeeper greeted him. Pass a message to Feng Zhixing. 3 days later, at Fenghuang Mountain. Sima Lu Xian whispered, Young Master hasn't been in the sect recently. I don't know if he can bring it over in 3 days. The shopkeeper was in a difficult position, but then he remembered that the young master had instructed him to inform him immediately as long as it was something related to the Sima family. He decided to use the highest transmission mode in his heart. As for whether the young master would come or not, it was not something he could control. You could just tell him. Sima Lu Xian turned and left after he finished speaking. The shopkeeper immediately instructed the waiter and went to the backyard. There were still 3 days before the agreed time, so Sima Lu Xian wasn't in a hurry to go over. Instead, he strolled around the city. He had been to this place countless times and seen it countless times, but he had never been as emotional as he was today. After circling the area once, he slowly made his way towards Phoenix Mountain. Phoenix Mountain was actually not the habitat of the phoenix, and there was nothing related to the phoenix. It didn't even look like one. It was unknown who named this mountain range. Sima Lu Xian came under a big tree and felt that Feng Zhixing wouldn't be here so soon. He jumped onto the tree, found a familiar branch, and lay down like before. His silver hair cascaded down like a white waterfall hanging in the air. Because of the lush canopy, it was very difficult to notice if one didn't look from below. When Feng Zhixing came here, he saw this familiar scene, except for the white hair that had replaced the black hair from before. Sima Lu Xian opened his eyes when he came, but his body didn't move. Sure enough, in less than a second, Feng Zhixing flew to the branch he used to like, his back against the trunk, one leg hanging, the other leg bent, very casually. Well, at least Sima Yue had never seen him like this, and the people of Integral Moon Palace had never seen him like this. From the day I saw you, I never thought that you would be a cripple forever, but I didn't expect it to be so soon. You really have a good daughter. Of course, Yue is very considerate. This is something you can't be envious of. Sima Lu Xian put his hands behind his head and laughed very infuriatingly. Feng Zhixing gestured at him. Tell me, why did you call me here today? Don't tell me it's just to show off to me that you have a good daughter. I'm very busy. Nothing, I just came to catch up with you. Sima Lu Xian said. TSK, you want me to believe you? If you don't say it, I'll leave. Anyway, it's almost time to catch up. Feng Zhixing said so, but he didn't move. Sima Lu Xian sat up, took out 2 wine jars, threw one to him, opened the other jar, and took a sip. Seeing that Feng Zhixing drank it unceremoniously, he said, Aren't you afraid that I'll poison it? With your little ability, you don't have the ability to poison me. Feng Zhixing said disdainfully. You have to try. Sima Lu Xian didn't refute. Feng Zhixing ignored him, took another sip of the wine jar, and said, It's good to guard your precious daughter. You can take out the good wine whenever you want. Pour me, your master, it's gone after drinking it. It's good that I can give it to you. Sigh. I really didn't expect that we would have the opportunity to sit here and drink again. Drinking wine brewed by your daughter. Feng Zhixing said with some emotion. I really didn't think about it. Sima Lu Xian's eyes were a little nostalgic. Are you all right? Feng Zhixing asked. Well, except for this white hair. She won't despise you. At the mention of Yu Kaluo, both of them were silent. After a long time, Feng Zhixing touched his white hair. His eyes became sad. Integral Moon Palace is very good at collecting information. Do you know, other than Ghost City, how can I go to the Ghost Realm? Feng Zhixing almost choked on the wine, looked at Sima Lu Xian and shouted, You still want to go to the Ghost Realm? Kaluo is over there. I'm going to find her. Sima Lu Xian's attitude was very clear. No matter what, he had to go to the Ghost Realm. Yu has always wanted to go to the Ghost Realm to save her mother. I'm afraid that she will do something stupid. Aren't you doing something stupid? With your strength, what can you do in the Ghost Realm? Although Feng Zhixing liked Yu Kaluo very much and wanted to see her again, he was more aware of the reality. Sima Lu Xian's face was full of bitter smiles. Yes, Yu Kaluo was taken away by the Ghost King. She would definitely be punished when she returned to the Ghost Clan. If he went, he would naturally go against the entire Ghost Clan. Could he really find her with his own strength? But if he didn't, he put his right hand on his heart. It was still very empty, very painful. Feng Zhixing looked at him like this, sighed, and said, It's not impossible to help you check, but you have to promise me one thing. What? If you go, take me with you. Feng Zhixing requested. It doesn't matter if you go alone or if you bring you along. Bring me along. You want to go too? Sima Lu Xian looked at him. Originally, I wanted to go back to the inner region, to be able to support Yu and let her live a carefree life in the inner region. But I didn't expect her to grow so quickly that she doesn't need me to do anything for her anymore. Moreover, I know her temperament a little. She won't change her mind once she has decided on something. Instead of watching you go on an adventure and worrying here, it's better to go together. Anyway, I've almost understood life. There's nothing to miss. Feng Zhixing explained. You're still. Sima Lu Xian sighed. He didn't finish his sentence, but both of them knew what he meant. I said it's for you, Yu. You're thinking too much. Feng Zhixing's body was a little stiff. He took another sip of wine. But why did the mellow taste of the wine suddenly become so bitter and astringent? Sima Lu Xian looked at him. He didn't agree, but he didn't deny it either. He understood Feng Zhixing's feelings for Yu Kaluo, but he couldn't say anything to stop it. He was glad that Yu Kaluo liked him. Silence lingered between the two. To break the awkwardness, he thought of another purpose of coming here. Do you have a map of the lost place? Yes, why you want it? Yes, I want it now. You want to go to the lost place? Feng Zhixing glanced at him. You just recovered your strength and you're restless again. It's you who wants to go. My good disciple almost turned the hidden family upside down. What is she going to do now? Chapter 1592. Sima Luxian saw Feng Zhixing's interest and suddenly regretted looking for him. Could it be that this fellow wanted to snatch his daughter away? However, Feng Zhixing looked like he wouldn't give him the map if he didn't tell him. He knew that this guy would definitely continue to waste time with him. How about this? It's been a long time since we last sparred. Let's compete. If you win, I'll tell you what we're going to do. If you lose, hand over the map obediently. What do you think? Feng Zhixing glanced at him and said disdainfully, with your newly recovered strength? Don't forget that I've been cultivating for a few decades longer than you. So what? It's still unknown who will win or lose. After that, Sima Luxian flew towards Feng Zhixing to attack. Feng Zhixing also went forward. In order to protect this sentimental tree, the two of them did not use any spiritual techniques. They fought as they flew into the distance. A few hours later, the exhausted duo collapsed on the hilltop. Both of them had some injuries on their bodies. Although they had bled a little, it was not serious. I didn't expect that not only did you recover your strength, you even advanced. I also want to have a precious daughter. Feng Zhixing gasped for air. You make it sound like my daughter doesn't treat you well. Sima Luxian wasn't any better. He grimaced as he spoke. If you want to be like me, then make yourself a cripple first. Then forget it. Feng Zhixing didn't want to give Sima Luxian a chance to suppress him. If he were to become a cripple, he would probably end his life first. Since we're tied, you can tell me now. Yor has a master called Su Jin. She has a teacher called Gulang. Do you know him? Yes, he's from Imperial College. He's quite famous in the mainland. Moreover, he was Sima Yuyue's master, so he naturally knew about him. Su Jin and Gulang went to the lost place for Yu-Er. At first, they would send news back, but then they went missing. Yu-Er and the others were worried, so they wanted to go to the lost place to take a look. Sima Luxian said, This child, why does she always take responsibility for everything? Was the Lost Lands a good place to go? Did she know what kind of people live there? You are her father. How can you let her do whatever she wants? Feng Zhixing scolded. He didn't treat the person in front of him as his peer at all. You're a master. You do it. Sima Luxian didn't believe that he could persuade his daughter. Feng Zhixing opened his mouth, but didn't say anything. He sighed faintly and said, She's even more stubborn than her mother. Sima Luxian didn't respond. His daughter looked like her mother, and even her temperament was 70% inherited. As long as it was something she wanted to do, no matter how difficult the road ahead was, nothing could stop her. He didn't say anything. Feng Zhixing continued, It's not impossible to get the map, but I want to go too. I can't be at ease with you around. Sima Luxian never thought of not letting him go, but what he said was a little annoying. So, the two of them wrestled together again. In the end, you broke a few ribs, and I lost an arm. This situation was comparable to the time when Sima Lu Feng and Deja fought. However, at that time, Deja and they didn't like each other. The two of them were just reminiscing about their past friendship. When Sima Yue came and saw such a miserable scene, she couldn't help but sigh faintly. Father, Master, the two of you added up to more than 1,000 years old, right? Why are you still fighting like children? She came to the two of them and checked their injuries. Sima Luxian and Feng Zhixing were stunned when they saw Sima Yue suddenly appear in the air. There are 3 divine paragon beasts and 2 transcendent divine beasts nearby. Now that the two of you are in this state, if they come over, what will you do? Sima Yu took out a pill for the two of them to eat, as she muttered. She didn't think of it, but the two of them were too unreliable at times. Those who have some friendship with us won't come out. Sima Luxian said unnaturally. I saw a guy coming here just now. If he didn't release Qi Yan's aura, I'm afraid this mountain would have been smashed away. Sima Yue snorted. How is that possible? The two of them on the ground shouted at the same time. Those supreme beasts usually stayed in their own territories and wouldn't come here. Why would they come here today? I think it might be the aura of the divine medicine from Father's body. Sima Yue guessed. Father's body has absorbed the effects of the medicine, but it hasn't completely dissipated. This battle will more or less have the aura of the divine medicine. No matter what, a spirit beast's nose is more sensitive than a human's. The two of them on the ground looked at each other with resentment in their eyes. By the way, Yue, why are you here? Feng Zhixing finally gave up on Sima Lu Xian and focused his attention on Sima Yue. To practice the spatial technique that I just mastered not long ago. Sima Yue casually made up a story. She couldn't say that she was worried that the two of them would fight when they met, so she followed them. But even if she didn't say it, they should be able to understand. When the two of them recovered their spiritual power, she took them back to the Sima family. The pills that she gave them were for internal injuries, so the panda eyes on their faces and half of their faces were swollen. When they got home, it didn't seem to go down at all. Seeing the two of them with bruised noses and swollen faces, the Sima family's people widened their eyes as if they had seen a ghost. Those who were closer to them even asked if they were in trouble. Feng Zhixing and Sima Lu Xian smiled bitterly. She was teaching the two of them a lesson so that they would either fight or fight when they met. Sima Yue also knew that this was a sign that the two of them had feelings for each other, but she still didn't want things like hurting their bodies to happen too often in the future. Seeing her angry little face, the two of them also learned their lesson and sighed, thinking that they wouldn't let her worry about them in the future. But when the two of them looked at each other, they still didn't like each other. In the past, they were both talented and had fought many times, forming a revolutionary friendship. But later on, they met Yukoluo, and the revolutionary friendship couldn't be compared to the destruction of their love rival. So the two of them were even more displeased with each other. After Sima Yue brought them back, she took the map that Feng Zhixing gave her to study. The people who lived in the lost place were all related to the God clan. She didn't know if they recognized the identity of the God clan. If they didn't, this trip would be much more difficult for her. Moreover, Master and the others hadn't sent any news back for so many years. Although they were fine, they should be in deep prison with no freedom. If she wanted to save them, she had to find their whereabouts first. But just this alone was difficult enough. But no matter how difficult it was, she had to do it. She had to save Master and the others. Chapter 1593. Because of Sima Lu Xian and Feng Zhixing's matters, the trip to the Lost Land was postponed for a few days. Knowing that they were going to such a dangerous place, Sima Ji Yuan directly gave half of the Cloud Guards to her, saying that since there was a little realm, no matter how many people went, they would not disturb her. They just wanted to give her a strong backing, but this backing was not strong enough. Now that the mainland was in chaos, Sima Yue was worried about the Sima family. If the men in black, the undead, or the Qi spirit jumped out and targeted the Sima family, she did not know what would happen. Sima Yue had no choice but to reveal the existence of Feng Xiang and the others. With them around, 1 against 100 would be a piece of cake. Moreover, there were people from the Blood Fiend City in the small realm. Although most of them weren't strong enough in the inner regions, there were still some experts among the hundreds of thousands of people. Despite knowing all this, Sima Ji Yuan still gave her 100 men and insisted that she lead them. Sima Yue was stubborn and had no choice but to agree. She placed everyone in the little realm. Just before they were about to leave, someone came looking for them. Sima Yue was pleasantly surprised to see the people who were brought to her courtyard by the maidservant. She shouted, "Old Bai Liangkai, why are you here?" It was Bai Sheng and Lu Liangkai. Sima Yue did not expect to see them so soon. "Greetings, Vice Valley Lord." The two of them bowed to Sima Yue. She hurried forward and pulled them up. "Why are you two here? How are the people in the valley?" "Everything is fine, but everyone misses you very much." Bai Sheng saw that Sima Yue had become much stronger after not seeing her for a few years. He was genuinely happy for her. "I miss everyone too." Sima Yue was in a good mood when she saw two familiar faces. She led them into the living room. How's your development in the inner region going? Knowing that the Vice Valley Lord's home is in the 64th state, we decided to develop here. In the beginning, it was difficult. Later, the He family and the Sima family helped us, so we managed to gain a foothold in a few years, Lu Liangkai replied. Sima Yue knew that they had come to the 64th state to develop, but a state was very big. Plus, they were both busy, so this was the first time they had met. That's good. If the Sima family and the He family can't help you in the future, you can turn to the Xinyuan Pavilion, Sima Yue said. At the same time, she thought that she should go to the Xinyuan Pavilion to inform them. Bai Sheng and the rest naturally knew of Xinyuan Pavilion's position and also knew that Sima Yue and Xinyuan Pavilion had some relationship. They didn't expect that this relationship would be useful in the inner regions. What they didn't know was that the Xinyuan Pavilion was built by the Feng people. On the surface, it was managed by the Jun family, but those with a higher status knew that the masters behind the Xinyuan Pavilion were the Feng people. And she was now the young miss of the Feng people. Asking for help from the Xinyuan Pavilion was as easy as asking for help from her own family. All right, why are you here today? Sima Yue knew that the two of them were busy trying to break into the inner regions and didn't have the time to visit. It's like this. The people in the valley knew that you were going to look for your master, so they refined some things and sent them over. We thought that we haven't seen the Vice Valley Lord for a long time, so we sent them over, Bai Sheng explained. How did you know that I was going to save master? Sima Yue asked curiously. Jiang Junxian told the people in the valley. He heard that it's very dangerous there, and there are many experts. So Fatty Chu brought the armament masters in the valley to refine quite a number of thunderbolt bombs. I don't think the valley needs to prepare anything else, Bai Sheng said, and took out a space ring for her. Sima Yue scanned it. There were piles of small metal balls inside. They were piled up higher than a small mountain. If they were used to bomb the Sima family, they probably wouldn't even use half of them. Other than that, there were piles of pills. Knowing that she had the spirit pagoda, they didn't send her any herbs. There were piles of array stones at the side. If she used all of them to carve a teleportation array, she would probably be able to return to Paramount Valley. Even though they knew that she didn't lack anything, Master, Martial Uncle, and Feng Heir still sent her so many good things. Thinking of this, she couldn't help but smile. At the corner of the space ring, there was a pile of letters. Sima Yue randomly picked one up and read it. It was actually from Shimin Feng. The letter asked him to go back after he settled his matters. He planned to marry Kong Sang-yi. But if Sima Yue didn't go back, the wedding date couldn't be set. Sima Yue felt that today was a good day. She couldn't stop such good intentions. Feng Heir is going to get married. Looks like I have to settle my matters quickly. Otherwise, I'm afraid Xiang Yi will come to me. She laughed and teased. Feng Valley Lord said that everything is ready. When you go back, you'll get married. Although some people in the Kong Valley have objections, they all agreed. Lu Liangkai said. Sima Yue pursed her lips. Why does words sound so ambiguous? What did he mean by getting married when she went back? He said it as if she was the bride. However, this was indeed because of her that their wedding was delayed. She secretly thought about when she would go back and let them get married. Seeing Shimin Feng's letter, she took out another one. This time it was a letter that Fatty Chu, that dog, had crawled over. Fatty Chu rambled on for a few pages, but Sima Yue concluded that there were 2 points. First, he had improved the Thunderbolt Bomb. He didn't know what dangerous thing she was going to do, but this Thunderbolt Bomb could be used. The second point was that they all missed her and didn't know when they would be able to see her again. They would work hard to cultivate and come to the inner regions to look for her. This guy, she couldn't finish her sentence after saying those 3 words. Fatty Chu and Bai Gongtang's relationship was not worse than that of family. Ever since Dong Chan Kingdom, their friendship was not something that could be described with just a few words. However, she didn't bring them to the inner regions. There were too many things to do with her, and they couldn't cultivate properly. The distance between them and her was a little too far. It was better for them to spend more time cultivating now. They weren't born for her. Staying in the valley to cultivate was a better choice for them. As for Sima Lai and his grandson, Sima Yue missed them very much. She had asked Sima He Shun and the others to check before. The Sima family in Lin continent and the Sima family in primordial lands were related by blood. It should be a family built by someone who had been expelled from the family many years ago. Before she came back, she had asked Sima Lai and the others if they were willing to come back if they were related by blood. Sima Lai and her 4 brothers all expressed that they weren't willing. It was good to stay in the valley as long as she went back to visit them. Chapter 1594. Bai Sheng and Lu Liangkai didn't plan to stay in Sima family for long, but Sima Yue said that she needed some time to write a reply to the people in the valley, so they had no choice but to stay. Thinking that there were still some primordial venerable stones in the Spirit Pagoda, she pushed back the date of departure by a few days. She went to the Spirit Pagoda and tamed a few primordial spirit beasts. After she had tamed them, she placed them in a small cage that was specially used to store spirit beasts. After that, she found a spatial ring that could temporarily house the spirit beasts and placed it inside before handing it over to Bai Sheng and the rest. This kind of interspatial ring had some air, which could be used for spirit beasts to breathe. But the time was limited, so she asked Bai Sheng and the rest to return to Paramount Valley. Upon hearing that the ring contained an ancient spirit beast, the 2 of them, who had always been calm, were stunned. I've tamed one for everyone with status in the valley. I've even pasted their names on the cages. Don't mix them up. Sima Yue reminded. That won't happen. Let's set off now. Bai Sheng and the rest knew that there was a time limit to this kind of ring, so they prepared to leave immediately. Sima Yue was still worried and gave them 2 more space rings. If they did not return, they could at least buy some time. She was still worried, so she took 2 more rings. There were a total of 4 empty rings. Fortunately, the Sima family usually did a lot of work in animal taming, so this kind of space ring was not considered rare. Because of the importance of this matter, Bai Sheng and Lu Liang left the Sima family and went straight to Paramount Valley. Along the way, the 2 of them were on tenterhooks, afraid that even the slightest mistake would happen. When they returned to Paramount Valley, the 2 of them finally calmed down. Knowing that Shimin Feng, Liang Wu Ming, and the others were discussing matters, the 2 of them went straight to the meeting hall. I wonder how Big Sister is doing now. As for the development of the inner circle forces, we need to speed up. Shimin Feng said. Then we'll have to speed up the extraction of spirit stones. Liang Wu Ming also wanted to expand his influence into the inner regions. Water flows downwards, but people walk upwards. Old Bai and Liang Kai are back. Old Man Devil sensed the people outside the door and let them in. Bai Sheng and Lu Liang Kai came in directly and bowed to Liang Wu Ming and the rest. Old Bai, aren't you guys in the inner circle? Why did you come back? Shimin Feng asked. Reporting to the Valley Lord, we came back under the orders of Yo Yue's Vice Valley Lord. Bai Sheng replied. Big Sister asked you to come back? What's the matter? Shimin Feng asked urgently when he heard Sima Yue. There is indeed something very important, Bai Sheng said as he took out a space ring and passed it to the 2 Valley Lord. We took the things that the valley had prepared for her to the Sima family, and she gave us this. What is this? Old Man Devil knew that once his precious disciple made a move, it would definitely be something extraordinary. Liang Wuming picked up the interspatial ring to take a look. When he saw the items inside, he was completely stunned. Liang Valley Lord? When the people below saw that he was stunned, they were very curious about what was inside. When Liang Wuming heard them calling him, he came back to his senses and took out the items from his spatial ring. One by one, cages appeared in front of everyone. Fortunately, the conference hall was large enough to accommodate these cages. When they saw the little beasts lying inside, everyone was very curious. These spirit beasts looked really strange. They had never seen many of them before. Old Bai, what spirit beasts are these? Bai Sheng went forward and destroyed the enchantment outside the cages. The ancient spirit beast's aura came out, shocking everyone. These are ancient spirit beasts. The news of the ancient mining area had spread throughout the entire continent. Now that they saw this, everyone understood. I didn't expect the Vice Valley lore to have gotten so many ancient spirit beasts. If those powerhouses knew, they would be furious. When so many people went, not only did they not get any ancient spirit beasts, they even lost a lot of people inside. If they knew that Sima Yue had gotten so many, they would be so jealous. Yue said that these ancient spirit beasts have been tamed, and she had allocated them. The names pasted on the cages are the people who have been allocated. Bai Sheng said. When they saw the names on the cages, they guessed Sima Yue's intention. Everyone in the conference hall had a share. Liang Wu Ming and the rest stopped the meeting and got everyone to find their own ancient spirit beasts and let them go back to contract them. All right. Yue even replied to everyone's letter. Bai Sheng took out the letter he kept and got people to distribute it. In the letter, she said that she would go back to take a look after settling the matters here. When the people in the valley received the letter, they were all very happy. When they heard that she had plans to return to the valley, the atmosphere in the valley was much better. When they found out that she got people to send the ancient spirit beast back, the entire valley was in an uproar. Sima Yue's position in the hearts of the valley disciples was even higher. It seemed like there was nothing she couldn't do. When Fatty Chu and the rest received Sima Yue's reply and the ancient spirit beasts, their eyes were wet. Other than the leaders in the valley, only they and Sima Lai had spirit beasts. Even the Vice Hall Master didn't have any. Yue asked us to cultivate properly and go to the inner regions to look for her. She still remembers our friendship. Wei Ziki murmured after reading the letter. Of course. No matter where you go, no matter how your identity changes, no matter how strong you are, Yue is Yue. That won't change, Fatty Chu said with a grin. I didn't expect that we would be able to contract ancient spirit beasts one day. Speaking of which, we have experienced more than the average person in this life. If we count it like this, it's already perfect. If you can increase your power, then it'll really be perfect. Ouyang Fei poked Fatty Chu's sore spot without warning. However, Fatty Chu's skin was much thicker. It didn't hurt him, and he didn't hurt him. Instead, he said with a grin, as for strength, it'll be fine as long as we slowly increase it. Anyway, our lifespan is so long, we've lived enough. Bei Gong Tang reached out and poked his head. If you're the only one who doesn't have enough cultivation, your lifespan will be the shortest. You won't be able to participate in any exciting things after you die. That's right. Anyway, there will always be many amazing things by Yue's side. But when the time comes, you won't be able to see it. We'll remember your share in our hearts. Fatty Chu was stunned. It seemed like this was the case. If he only lived for 500 years and they lived for 1,000 years, then wouldn't he not live for the next 500 years? No, he couldn't be too far behind them. Thus, from that day onwards, Fatty Chu, who was obsessed with refining weapons, changed. He threw his favorite weapon refining aside and spent more time cultivating. He would only come out to refine weapons every few days to ensure that his technique wasn't rusty. When he was young, he had been cleansed by Sima Yue. His innate talent wasn't low. Like this, his cultivation rose slowly. Chapter 1595. Sima Yue did not know how Paramount Valley would react after receiving the items, because she was already on the road with Sima Luxian and the others. However, they did not go directly to the Lost Lands. Instead, they went to a mountain and circled around. Father, are you sure that the map you gave us was here? Sima Yue and the others walked around a few times, but still couldn't find the place that Sima Luxian mentioned. Before leaving, Sima Luxian found out that they were going to pass by Love Heaven Ridge, so he told them about it. Everyone unanimously decided to take a look around this place to see if they could get any treasures. This Love Heaven Ridge was not the Love Heaven domain that Sima Yue and Wu Lingyu had guessed. It was just an inconspicuous mountain range that could be seen everywhere on this continent. Therefore, after walking around a few times, everyone suspected that they had remembered the wrong place. I say, could it be that you're old and dim-sighted and remembered the wrong place? Feng Zhixing patted Sima Lu Xian's shoulder and said earnestly, it can't be wrong. Back then, your mother and I traveled here together and accidentally discovered the ancient tomb. At that time, we said that the two mountains looked like a pair of lovers. Sima Lu Xian pointed to the two peaks in the distance. Since there was a familiar place, it should be the right place. But why couldn't they find it after searching for so long? Sima Yi looked around. Other than mountains, there were more mountains. A spirit master's memory was very good, so he wouldn't remember the wrong place. That meant that there was something fishy about this matter. Father, where's the location of the place you discovered? Sima Lu Xian thought about it carefully and pointed to the east of the two mountains, saying, it should be in that direction. Could he have used an illusion array to hide the mountain? Han Miaoshuang guessed. However, Sima Yue shook her head. There are no traces of an array here. No matter how big an illusion array is, it can't possibly cover the entire mountain range. I didn't sense any fluctuations from the array formation either. Then where did that mountain go? No one could guess what was going on. There was no illusion array, the location was right, and there was no mountain that had been flattened. Then where did that mountain go? It was Sima Yoyue's first time encountering such a situation. She was at a loss. It's already late. Let's find a place to rest first and continue tomorrow. They had been in the mountains for so many days and were a little tired. I know there's a cave in front. Let's go there to rest. Sima Lu Xian said as he led them to the two mountains that were close to each other. There was indeed a cave at the foot of the mountain where the two mountains faced each other. Once again, it proved that he did not remember the wrong place. They cleaned up the cave and made a fire. Han Miaoshuang got Sima Yue to roast some meat to pass the time while she went to help out. After returning to the cave, Jiang Junxian found a place and took out a soft mattress to sleep. Ever since Sima Yue began to treat him, he had been sleeping less and less. However, he hadn't slept at Love Heaven Ridge for so many days. Now that he relaxed, he quickly fell asleep and only woke up on the second day. Sima Yue not only roasted meat, but also made a hot pot. Sima Xiuqi, Huang Yingying, Sima Lu Xian, Feng Zhixing, Su Xiaoxiao, and Han Miaoshuang ate and drank until it was very late. As for Jiang Junxian, sleeping was more important than eating. They did not wake him up. After eating and drinking, everyone took out their beds to rest. Sima Yue finished packing and saw Sima Lu Xian alone at the entrance of the cave. The moonlight shone on him, and his back looked a little desolate. Father, are you thinking of Mother? She walked over and stopped beside him. She imitated him and looked up at the moon. Yes. He looked sideways at her face that was 70% similar. It was as if he was looking at the person in his memory. Your mother and I stayed here for a while. Now that we're revisiting the old place, I don't know where she is suffering. Father, Mother, she is not in any danger. Sima Yue wanted to say that she knew where her mother was, but she didn't know if he could bear it after saying it. Do you know where she is? Sima Lu Xian was very smart. He immediately guessed the meaning of her words. When I was in the Immortal Land, I met Cousin Deja. Sima Yue hesitated for a while, but still said it. You met the Ghost Clan? Sima Lu Xian was surprised for a moment. That's right. The Immortal Land can be visited by the 3 clans. It's not strange that he went there. Did he tell you where your mother is? Yes. He said that Mother was suppressed somewhere in the abyss of hell. He wanted to take the 100 Ghost Banner to the ancient battlefield to collect souls. In the end, he met Xiao He, who swallowed all the souls. In the end, he returned without any success. Sima Yue briefly told him about the Immortal Land. I think, since Cousin found it, it should be true. The abyss of hell. Sima Lu Xian murmured. If he violated the oath, could he go there to find Koluo? Father, don't do anything stupid. Sima Yue knew what he was thinking when she saw his expression. She grabbed his arm. If you violate the oath and go to the abyss of hell, you won't be able to come out even if I rescue Mother. Do you want Mother and me to accompany you in the abyss of hell for the rest of your life? Sima Lu Xian didn't expect Sima Yue to have such a big reaction. I'm just thinking about it. How can I bear to let you two accompany me there? Don't worry, I won't do that. Although he really wanted to, Sima Yue let go of him and continued to persuade. Father, I've already discussed with cousin. He will continue to investigate mother's whereabouts and find the specific place where she is suppressed. When I have enough strength, I will go to the ghost realm to save mother. Don't worry, I will definitely save mother. If you do something stupid, I will still have to save you, right? Sima Lu Xian didn't get angry because she ignored his strength. He nodded and said, I'll listen to you. But when you go to the ghost realm, you have to bring father along. This way, we could be reunited earlier. Sima Yue smiled and nodded. Okay. She would just put him in the spirit pagoda and let him out when she needed him. Sima Lu Xian's thoughts moved, and he asked, Do you know how to go to the ghost realm? They told me a way to go there, but I won't tell father. Sima Yue knew what he was thinking. How could she tell him the method? Deja told you? He heard Yuko Luo mention Deja before and knew that he was one of the top in the ghost realm. No, it's another friend. Sima Yue thought of MOU. This guy was both a teacher and a friend. He was both good and evil. He taught her a lot of underworld skills. Now that she thought about it, it seemed like a long time had passed. She didn't know if she would meet him when she went to the ghost realm. She knew that she would go to the ghost realm sooner or later, but she didn't think that she would go there in such a way in the near future. Chapter 1596. Sima Yue and Sima Lu Xian chatted at the entrance for the whole night. Most of the time, it was Sima Lu Xian talking while she listened. Although Sima Lu Xian had been back for so many years, they rarely talked about Yukaluo. If it wasn't for the fact that the same night made him a little sad, perhaps he wouldn't have told her those things. The next day, Sima Yue got the Scarlet Bees to go out and search to see if they could find a mountain that Sima Lu Xian mentioned. As for them, they would stay here and wait for the results. If they couldn't find the direction, it would be a waste of energy for them to go out. However, the Scarlet Bees that had always been good at gathering information were not of any use this time. They had been circling around for 2 days, but there was no useful news. Sima Yue asked Sima Lu Xian about other familiar places. As long as it was not in the direction of the ancient tomb, the Scarlet Bees found it one by one. It seems like there's a problem in that direction. Sima Yue wiped away the thing she had drawn on the ground. Yu, Heaven's halberd is moving. I can't suppress it any longer. Exquisite shouted from within the spirit pagoda. Sima Yue used her divine sense to explore the room. She realized that the room where the Heaven's halberd was kept had been smashed into a mess, and it was still flying around. What's wrong with it? Is it trying to destroy the treasury? She cried out in alarm. She had never seen Heaven's halberd so restless before. The last time this guy had made a move was during the Sky Heaven School's examination. He had flown to the Sky Pavilion, but he didn't have such a big reaction then. Sima Yue suddenly thought of something and took out her Heaven's halberd. Heaven's halberd left the spirit pagoda and instantly flew out of her hand. Fortunately, she had set up a barrier before she took it out, so Heaven's halberd wasn't too far away. Yue, what's that? No one had seen the Heaven's halberd before. They did not know why Sima Yue would take it out at this time. Sima Yue looked at the Heaven's halberd that was smashing around inside the barrier and smiled. I think I know where the ancient tomb is. You know? Is it because of it? Yes, this is the Heaven's halberd, a spirit artifact used by Emperor Qingdao. Sima Yue explained to them. However, it only has its head and the other part is missing. Monarch Qingdao once said that the 2 branches of the Spirit Artifact Division would work together. In that case, that tomb belongs to Emperor Qingdao. Not necessarily. However, I think the other part of Heaven's halberd is in the tomb. Sima Yue said. Is this reliable? Su Xiaoxiao asked. Didn't you notice that no matter how it crashed, it was always in the direction that father said? When she said that, everyone realized that it was indeed the case. So, I'm guessing that the other half of Heaven's halberd is in the tomb. She was no longer just guessing. However, Emperor Qingdao said that Heaven's halberd's whereabouts are unknown. I think he wasn't with him when he passed away. Therefore, That tomb might not belong to Emperor Qingdao. However, we can't be sure. Maybe someone used it to find this tomb. No matter if it is or not, we'll know once we take a look. Sima Yue said as she flew up and grabbed Heaven's halberd, imprisoning it in her hands. All these years, Sima Yue had already refined Heaven's halberd. Her divine sense was deeply engraved in Heaven's halberd. She used her divine sense to pacify Heaven's halberd, and it calmed down. However, it still wanted to fly in that direction. Let's follow it and take a look. Sima Yue asked Han Miao Shuang to wake Jiang Junxian up. Sima Yue used a rope to tie herself to Heaven's halberd. This way, it could act as a compass and lead them to fly forward. At the beginning, Sima Yue and the rest had already walked on the same route. However, when they reached a mountain peak, Heaven's halberd did not turn. It still wanted to crash into the mountain. Sima Yue pulled it and did not allow it to go forward. However, it was unwilling and tried to move forward. When it could not move forward, it started to twist and turn. Yue, is there something wrong with this mountain? Jiang Junxian narrowed his eyes. A glint flashed past his eyes. You can tell too? Sima Yue looked at the mountain in front. If it was not for Heaven's halberd, she would not have noticed the problem. Previously, when Heaven's halberd encountered a mountain peak, it would go around it. It would not crash into it like this. This means that this mountain peak is different from the others. Feng Zhixing said. However, I don't feel the movement of an array. This means that this is not an illusion created by an array. It's indeed not an illusion. Sima Yue said. However, it is definitely not real. After speaking, she stopped imprisoning Heaven's halberd. Heaven's halberd was freed. It swished into the mountain and brought Sima Yue with it. Yue, little junior sister. Everyone watched as she disappeared in front of their eyes. They were shocked and all rushed over. There was no obstruction. There was no expected pain and no expected resistance. It was as if they were flying straight through. Sima Yue stood in the air. Heaven's halberd was no longer as agitated. Instead, it calmed down. That's right. It's here. The mausoleum is here. Sima Lu Xian looked at the surroundings. He was sure that this was the place that he came to with Yuka Luo. What's going on? We didn't discover any enchantment or array. How could that mountain be an illusion? Huang Yingying asked. That's because it's not an illusion. Sima Yue said, Master, you should know, right? Could it be the mausoleum's protection? Feng Zhixing did not think much about it at first. However, after Sima Yue's reminder, he thought of another possibility. What is the mausoleum's protection? It's the environment that the emperor built with his last bit of strength to protect his mausoleum. Sima Yue said, Then why didn't we encounter it when we came here previously? Sima Lu Xian asked, It doesn't happen all the time. Feng Zhixing said, If that's the case, no matter how much strength it has, it won't be able to withstand the consumption. I reckon that when you came here last time, it didn't take effect. But consider yourself lucky. Fortunately, we have Heaven's halberd this time. Without it, they probably wouldn't be able to find this place even after a few years. Now we have to find the entrance. Sima Xiuqi said, Do you still remember? Yes. Since they found this place, they were familiar with it. He led everyone to the foot of a mountain and found a mechanism. With a press, the entire mountain was divided into two halves. An entrance to the underground was revealed in the middle. Sima Yue's mouth was slightly open. Looking at the scene in front of her, her eyes were wide open. This was too extravagant. Father could even find this. It was too awesome. We accidentally pressed the button for the entrance and found this. Sima Lu Xian explained. Chapter 1597. When Sima Yue reached the middle of the mountain, she raised her head and looked at the sky. She wondered what would happen if the mountain suddenly clamped down on her. Then, she felt that her idea was laughable. How could it be so easy? If that was the case, the mausoleum would not have been built back then. However, it was rare to see someone move a mountain to make a tomb door. It had to be said that this was a big deal. After they all went in, Sima Lu Xian pressed a button inside, and the split mountain slowly closed again. What they didn't know was that not long after they went in, a few people came in from the same place. They also came to the mountain and looked at the button. I didn't expect them to be one step ahead of us. Should we go in? The person who spoke had a hoarse voice. How do we get in? Which one of us is Sima Yoyue's match? Another person scolded. How unlucky to actually meet her here. Big brother, is that Sima Yue really that powerful? There are so many of us. Why should we be afraid of them? You know nothing. Shut up. That big brother slapped that person, causing that little brother to feel wronged. Wasn't it just a little doll? What was there to be afraid of? Boss, what should we do now? What else can we do? Hurry up and leave. The boss said hatefully. This is the Celestial Emperor's mausoleum. Are you giving it up just like that? I know. Get the hell out of here. You're so annoying. The boss waved his hand impatiently at the people around him. Looking at them, his heart ached even more. He found a map by chance and followed the instructions on it to find this place. He did not expect to meet Sima Yue before he even entered. He had stayed in Fair Eastern City before and had witnessed the battle between the Ghost Clan and Sima Yoyue's performance. When the tribulation lightning struck the ghost, it also struck his heart. From then on, the person he was most afraid of was naturally Sima Yue. He was afraid that if he were to face her directly, he would be struck by lightning. This was a mausoleum that had been discovered with great difficulty. There must be a lot of treasures inside. Now, all of them are going to be taken away. Just thinking about it made his heart bleed. However, he did not have the guts to snatch things from Sima Yue. After hesitating for a while, he decided to leave with his men. He was waiting for Sima Yue and the rest to leave so that he could see if he could pick up more treasures. Sima Yue could not help but smirk when she heard the news from the Scarlet Bees. Han Miao Shuang happened to see her like this and asked curiously, "Little junior sister, why are you so happy? The rat behind us has left." Sima Yue smiled. Rats? Sima Xiuqi and the rest knew that there were people following behind them. Hearing Sima Yoyue's words, they felt strange. Those people knew that there was a mausoleum here, yet they left just like that. Wasn't this too illogical? I don't know either. Those people said that they left when they saw me coming in. They seemed to be very scared. Am I that scary? Sima Yue touched her face. She looked pretty good. How was she scary? Seeing her innocent look, everyone was silent. She probably did not realize that the things she did were quite scary in the eyes of others. Sima Yue threw this small matter to the back of her mind. Now that they had entered the mausoleum, they naturally had to be 120% alert. Who knew when some traps would appear? Fortunately, the place that they entered at the beginning was the place that Sima Lu Xian had entered before. Any traps had been destroyed by him and his wife. After walking for a short distance, everything was peaceful. They came to an underground river. Sima Lu Xian said, "Of course, Kaluo, and I didn't go past here." Sima Yue saw the underground river. She felt that the ancient people liked to build tombs on both sides of the underground river. It was a long underground river that divided the mausoleum into two sides. Why didn't you go there that day? Firstly, it was because Kaluo was pregnant at that time and felt that it was too dangerous. If the fetus was endangered, we would lose more than we gained. Secondly, it was because we had already obtained some treasures, so we didn't have any greedy thoughts. Speaking of you, Kaluo, Sima Lu Xian's eyes were smiling, which made Feng Zhixing snort coldly, taking the opportunity to show off their love. Huang Yingying and the rest felt that he did a good job. The dangers inside are unknown. If anything happened at that time, we wouldn't have such a good granddaughter like you. It's best to be careful. Buzz, buzz, buzz. Heaven's halberd, that had been quiet for a long time, became restless again. It moved vigorously in her hand, as if it was dissatisfied with her stopping. It seems that this guy wants to cross the river. Sima Yue looked at it speechlessly. There was only half of it left. Why was it still so restless? It seems that its other half is over there. Feng Zhixing said, "Do you want to go over?" Sima Yoyue's mouth twitched. Why did it sound a little awkward when she heard Master's other half? She didn't know whether Master and Father were together well or not. When I met Emperor Qingdao's divine sense, I said that if possible, I should try my best to merge the halberd into one. Now that I know it's on the other side, how can I not look for it? Moreover, I think the owner of this mausoleum should be over there. Since I'm here, I have to go over and pay my respects. Actually, she didn't care about paying respects to the owner of the mausoleum. She just wanted to know if this was Emperor Qing Dao's mausoleum. She always felt that she had some connection with Emperor Qing Dao. No matter if it was when she obtained Heaven's Halberd, or when she saw his divine sense in Tong Tian Pavilion, or when she comprehended on the spatial ship, or when she saw him in a hazy state, there seemed to be some kind of mysterious connection. However, she couldn't explain why. The other half of Heaven's Halberd had long disappeared. How could it appear here? Was it a coincidence? Or was there really someone like her who obtained the other half of Heaven's Halberd and found this place with guidance, but left it here? Seeing Sima Yue standing in the same place, her expression changed. He didn't know what she was thinking. Yue, what are you worried about? Why don't you let me and your father explore the way first? Feng Zhixing didn't forget to pull Sima Lu Xian along. Well, if there was danger, they had to bear it together. Sima Lu Xian secretly rolled his eyes at him. Sima Yue turned her head and saw the interaction between the two. Her previous worries disappeared in an instant. The two bickered, but their relationship was still very good. Only when they really didn't care about the past could they be together so naturally. She smiled and said, "Master, I was just thinking that the main mausoleum is over there. The coffin should be placed there. When we find the owner, we will know if this is Emperor Qing Dao's mausoleum." Chapter 1598. Sima Yue was still a little obsessed with Emperor Qing Dao. Perhaps it was because he was the first celestial emperor she had come into contact with, or perhaps it was because he had told her that he hoped she could change the heavenly Dao. Her strength was not considered high, so she could not feel the influence of the heavenly Dao. The only thing that left an impression on him was the experience of being struck by the cloud spirit, and the lightning punishment he received when the Feng people said something that defied the heavens. To ask her to change the heavenly Dao, she felt that this was no different from a dream. However, when she thought about how Aunt Feng was an emperor who was not recognized by the heavenly Dao, and how countless cultivators were imprisoned under the emperor, she felt that the heavenly Dao was a little unfair. Forget it. What kind of strength do I have now? What's the point of thinking so much? With that thought, she leapt up and easily flew over the underground river, arriving at the other side of the mausoleum. There was no weightlessness as he had expected, nor was there an oncoming attack. There was nothing at all. Just like that, he safely flew to the opposite shore. Wasn't this a little too good? Seeing the confusion in Sima Yue's eyes, the three senior brothers and senior sisters who had experienced the mausoleum with her laughed out loud. "Do you think that all tombs are as dangerous as before?" Sima Yue was embarrassed. Although she didn't think it was as dangerous as before, she didn't expect it to be so easy. Soon, the others also flew over, and the group continued to walk inside. The other side of the mausoleum was different from before. It was completely empty. Sima Lu Xian said that he and Yuka Luo had obtained a lot of treasures the last time they were outside. Even Little Spirit was obtained from this tomb. There aren't any traps along the way. It feels too strange. Sima Xiuqi frowned. There must be something fishy going on. The others also understood this, so they were even more careful in the later part of the journey. However, they really didn't encounter any danger along the way. This is too strange. Feng Zhixing stopped in his tracks. He walked in front, and when he stopped, everyone stopped as well. Is this really the Imperial Emperor's mausoleum? Su Xiao and the others were puzzled. It could be said that they did not obtain any treasures along the way, nor did they encounter any danger. How could there be such an Imperial Emperor's tomb? Even Sima Lu Xian was a little confused. However, back then, he and Yuka Luo had indeed obtained some treasures. Just the soul stone left for Sima Yue was not something that an ordinary person could possess. If this wasn't an Imperial Emperor's tomb, then what was it? After walking for a long time, Sima Yue finally understood. She looked at the heavens halberd that was still excited and said, "Regardless, we'll know once we continue walking. Unless the Emperor is reborn, he can't do anything to us." Thinking about it, Sima Yue had brought so many people with her in her little realm, especially Feng Xiang and the others. With that kind of power, she could do whatever she wanted in the entire continent. Thus, the group continued to move forward. However, this time, he stopped again after walking for a short while. "We can't leave," Feng Zhixing said. "There's something blocking the way ahead." Sima Luxian was behind him. When he heard what he said, he went around and reached out to touch it. Sure enough, he encountered an obstacle. It's not a spirit barrier, nor is it an array. Feng Zhixing understood arrays. There was no fluctuation of spiritual energy in this obstacle, so it couldn't be these two kinds. This should be the same as the outside. It should be a protection left behind by the Emperor. Jiang Junxian guessed. "Let me try," Sima Luxian said and attacked in front. Sima Yue was worried that this movement would cause the tomb to collapse. Her heart jumped to her throat, but in the next second, she saw the spiritual energy disappear silently. "It seems that attacking is useless," Feng Zhixing said. "This should devour the spiritual energy." "Let me try," Huang Yingying said, and also tried to attack. The result was the same as last time. "It's useless." When everyone saw the result, they knew that any more attacks would be useless. Heaven's halberd moved restlessly in Sima Yue's hand, wanting to move forward. She frowned and said in a deep voice, "The other half of Heaven's halberd is inside. Ordinary people can't go in. So, this is really Emperor Qingdao's tomb?" Everyone couldn't go in. The other half of Heaven's halberd was inside, which meant that it was left here with the tomb owner. "It's a pity that we can't go in. Otherwise, we would know who the owner is," Han Miao Shuang said regretfully. Heaven's halberd saw that Sima Yue stopped moving and moved even more vigorously. A force pulled her forward. "I can't go in," she said helplessly to Heaven's halberd, not caring if it understood. But Heaven's halberd didn't calm down. It kept pulling Sima Yue forward. Sima Yue was helpless. She took a few steps forward and felt a layer of obstruction. But she didn't stop because of it. Instead, she was pulled inside. "You went in?" Han Miaoshuang looked at Sima Yue in surprise. "How'd you go in?" Everyone else had strange looks on their faces. Everyone had been stopped outside, but she was the only one who had entered. Thinking about it, they all felt strange. When Sima Yue realized that she was inside, she was also surprised. She looked at Heaven's halberd in her hand and wondered if it was because of it. Before she could think of a reason, Heaven's halberd moved again and continued to pull her forward. "Yue, don't go in," Feng Zhixing shouted. Without them, she was alone. What if she was in danger? "Master, don't worry. I don't think there will be any danger inside." Sima Yue turned around and smiled at them. "Wait for me here. I'll be back soon." After speaking, she turned around and continued to move forward, ignoring their shouts. Really? How could she take such a risk? She's too impulsive. When she comes out, we must talk to her. Jiang Junxian wasn't worried at all. Seeing how anxious they were, he said, "Don't worry. Junior's sister has never been impulsive. Since everyone is blocked outside, there shouldn't be any traps inside. Since she can go in, it means that she's fated with this place." Sigh. How could they not understand what he said? But they couldn't help but worry. However, it was useless to say anything now. They couldn't go in and could only watch her disappear around the corner. After Sima Yue continued to move forward, Heaven's halberd quietened down. It would only lead her to the right path at the fork in the road. If it wasn't for the fact that she had refined it and brought it in, she would have suspected that it was alive and had stayed here for a long time. After walking for half an hour, Heaven's halberd brought her to a stone door. Just as she was thinking about how to enter, a gentle force came out from the door and enveloped her and Heaven's halberd inside. Then there was a loud boom. The stone door retreated to one side. Sima Yue saw the coffin lying inside. Chapter 1599. The stone chamber was very big. However, there were not many things inside. Or rather, there were very few things inside. There was only a stone coffin placed in the center of the chamber, and beside the stone coffin was a skeleton in an iron bar. Needless to say, that iron G should be the other half of Heaven's halberd. That was because the guy flew out of her hand the moment he entered the room and landed right next to the G. At the same time, the stone door began to close slowly. Sima Yue recovered from her shock and teleported into the stone door. That was close. He was almost locked outside again. She patted her chest and looked at Heaven's halberd, which had finally calmed down. Then, she turned back to look at the stone door. Although that force had enveloped her entire body, she could sense that it had let her in because it sensed Heaven's halberd. Just now, when Heaven's halberd came in, the stone door was about to close, which proved this point. She walked over and picked up the other half of Heaven's halberd. Oh, this metal thing. If Heaven's halberd wasn't so close to her, she really wouldn't have been able to tell what it was. All right, now that the two of you have finally reunited, once I reach a certain level of refining, I will combine the two of you into one. Now go back and rest. She kept Heaven's halberd in her spirit pagoda. Now that it had found its other half, it would no longer cause trouble. Sima Yue shook her head. She thought to herself that this was indeed a divine artifact used by the Emperor. Even though it did not have an artifact spirit like the spirit pagoda, it was still very intelligent. When she picked up the iron bar, she tripped over a bone on the ground. Until his death, the man held the iron rod tightly. She looked at the corpse on the ground and then at the coffin. She decided to study this guy first. How did this person die? There was no murder weapon on the ground. Looking at his bones, he was neither injured nor poisoned before he died. It seemed like he died suddenly. However, this was not necessarily the case. She was not a professional autopsy, so she was not sure what the reason was. However, there was one thing that she was sure of. This person's death was definitely related to the tomb owner. Danger lurked in this stone chamber. She put away this person's spatial ring and wanted to use her divine sense to investigate it, but she found that she was blocked outside. Even though he had been dead for so many years and his body had turned into white bones, his divine sense still hadn't dissipated. Thinking of this, her heart trembled. This person's cultivation must be very strong, but he died without a sound. This meant that the danger here was much greater than she thought. She looked around cautiously. The spacious stone room was in plain view. She sensed for a bit and found that there were no isolated spaces. This meant that there were no traps on the walls. She opened her eyes, and her eyes were filled with confusion. Then, she shifted her gaze to the only stone coffin here. She did not believe that this person would die here for no reason. There were no traps here, so the only possibility was that this stone coffin was dangerous. If the Emperor's corpse was really lying here, then it wasn't impossible. She stood where she was and hesitated. The people on the ground were so powerful, but in the end, they still couldn't escape death. Would she be able to withstand it? Needless to say, the answer was no. However, it wasn't worth it if he didn't take a look at the Emperor's face. Moreover, her intuition told her that she would not be in danger. To look or not to look? She hesitated for a while, still unable to make up her mind. In the end, she saw the white bones on the ground. Thinking that she still had things to do, if she died here, wouldn't it not be worth it? Although she was curious, for the sake of her little life, she decided to forget about it. Anyway, this place wouldn't run away. When she had more or less settled her matters, when she had enough strength, it wouldn't be too late to come back. Thinking of this, she turned around and prepared to leave. However, she heard a sigh echoing in the stone room. Following that, the stone coffin lid flew to the side. A silver light flew out from the stone coffin and wrapped around her, pulling her back. Everything happened too quickly. In less than a breath's time after she heard the stone coffin's movement, she was pulled into the stone coffin. The back of her head fiercely hit the bottom of the coffin. A force directly rushed into her body. Before she fainted, there was only one thought in her mind. This stone coffin was empty. There was no one inside. Not knowing how long had passed, she slowly opened her eyes and climbed out of the coffin. However, she discovered that the white bones on the ground had disappeared. At the same time, the stone door slowly opened. A figure walked in from outside. She could tell that his strength was very high. His face was filled with excitement. At first, she was shocked, thinking that if this person came in, would her father and the rest who were guarding outside be in danger? Following that, she quickly discovered that something was wrong. She was standing in front of this person, but he didn't seem to see her. Most importantly, he was holding that rusty iron G in his hand. Found it, found it. I finally found you. As long as I obtain your inheritance, would I be afraid that I won't be able to advance to Emperor? At that time, who in this continent would be able to do anything to me? Ha ha. That person laughed arrogantly. It was as if he had seen his beautiful future. Sima Yue then realized that what she was seeing now should be an illusion and not real. That wasn't right. She felt that what she saw should be the scene that happened in this stone room. It was when the white bones on the ground entered. She subconsciously took a glance at the stone coffin. That lid was still firmly on top of it. After that man laughed for a while, he began to observe this stone room. After confirming that there weren't any mechanisms, he placed his attention on the only stone coffin here. He stretched out his hand to touch the lid of the stone coffin and muttered, "That's right. That map was talking about this stone coffin. Emperor Qing Dao was resting here. It was said that as long as you brought something with Emperor Qing Dao's aura, you would be able to enter this stone room." It was really true. Sima Yue was slightly startled. Was this really Emperor Qing Dao's mausoleum? That wasn't right. Before she fainted, she clearly saw that there was no one in this stone coffin. This was an empty coffin. Emperor Qing Dao wasn't here. Although it was like what this person said. Only things with Emperor Qing Dao's aura could enter this place. But this could only mean that this place was related to Emperor Qing Dao. It could even be one of the fake tombs that he cultivated for himself. While she was thinking about this, that man had already forcefully pushed open the lid of the stone coffin. Seeing that there was nothing inside, he cried out in shock. How is this possible? Being agitated by the empty stone coffin, he lifted the lid of the stone coffin. He obviously used a lot of strength, and ordinary stones would have shattered. But the lid of the stone coffin was still intact. Fake tomb. Fake tomb. I spent so much time and effort to find a fake tomb. He grabbed onto the edge of the coffin. His body couldn't help but tremble. Sima Yue could tell that he was furious and disappointed. At this moment, there was a sudden movement from the coffin. Chapter 1600. Sima Yue saw the light emitted from the sarcophagus. It was the same as the light that had wrapped around her. But unlike her, she was swept into the coffin while he was still in the same place. Inheritance. Inheritance. The man's disappointment and anger turned into ecstasy. Sima Yue pursed her lips when she heard what he said. He must have gone crazy thinking about the inheritance. How could this light be an inheritance? She did feel that it was dangerous. However, that person didn't think so. He closed his eyes and wanted to accept the inheritance. However, not long after, Sima Yue saw that his brows were tightly knitted together. His body swayed, and he held onto the sarcophagus to prevent himself from falling. Before Sima Yue could figure out what was going on, beams of light shot out from the man's body. Although there was no blood, it gave off a strange feeling. After a few breaths, the man fell to the ground, still holding the other half of the halberd in his hand. Not long after he fell, a silver light flew out from his body and wrapped around the lid of the coffin. Dong! The coffin landed firmly on top of the stone coffin, and the entire room fell silent. If not for the corpse on the ground, it would have been as if nothing had happened. There was no blood, no injury. A person who was close to the sovereign realm had died quietly. Yes, suddenly remembering something, she could not help but spit out a sentence. Previously, she had also felt the silver light enveloping her. Her body wouldn't become like this, right? If that was really the case, it would be useless no matter how many times she said it. Hee hee. Laughter was suddenly heard. The voice sounded familiar, but it made Sima Yue tense up. Who is it? She looked around warily. Who do you think I am? The other party did not show himself. Sima Yue thought about it and widened her eyes. Emperor Qing Dao. The scene in front of him changed. He was still in the stone room a moment ago, but now he was in a vast snowy plain. That black figure was particularly eye-catching in the snow. Although she had only seen him twice, Sima Yue recognized him immediately. He was Emperor Qing Dao. She walked over and stopped 10 meters away. That person turned around. It was Emperor Qing Dao whom she had met twice. Emperor, it's really you. She was still a little surprised in her heart. Why was he here? He's still alive? Do you think I can live that long? Emperor Qing Dao saw through her thoughts and smiled. Sima Yue smiled embarrassedly. Isn't the emperor's lifespan limitless? Monarchs aren't omnipotent. Monarch Qing Dao seemed to have thought of something, and his voice sounded a little sad. Sima Yue also knew that the monarch wasn't omnipotent. Otherwise, Feng Ruyin wouldn't have been delayed by her old illness for so long and almost died. Emperor, are you also a wisp of divine sense? Emperor Qing Dao came out of his thoughts and asked Sima Yue, "Where did you see me? Where did the Heaven's Halberd come from? Where did you see him? Didn't he remember? I bought the Heaven's Halberd from an auction. As for our first meeting, it was in Clear Sky Pavilion. There, I met a wisp of your divine sense. The second time, when I was clearly comprehending, but I saw your shadow. It should have been an illusion." Sima Yue replied, "You actually went to Clear Sky Pavilion. That means your talent is very good." Emperor Qing Dao's tone was indifferent. It was obviously a compliment, but Sima Yue felt strange. "You don't know that we've met before?" Emperor Qing Dao shook his head. "What you saw was only a wisp of my divine sense. After it left my body, it became independent. I can't sense it." No wonder he looked at her with a strange gaze. "Then the current you is, I'm just a wisp of soul left here to be taken care of in the tomb." Emperor Qing Dao said sadly, "I should say that I'm nothing. So you're saying that this tomb is really yours?" Sima Yue asked in astonishment. "Yes and no." Emperor Qing Dao saw her conflicted face and smiled, explaining, "You can just treat it as a crafty rabbit having 3 burrows." Sima Yue pursed her lips. Was that the same thing? Who would make so many tombs for themselves? Ah! She slapped her forehead and looked at Emperor Qing Dao, asking, "Am I dead too?" "You're not. This is just an illusion I made." "How can that be? I saw that person die within a few seconds after he was wrapped in the silver light. He was someone close to the strength of an emperor. I'm just a small monarch. If he couldn't resist it, how can I?" Sima Yue felt that she should be dead. "You're different from him," Emperor Qing Dao said. "You have something he doesn't." "I have something he doesn't?" "What?" "You have the aura I left on you," Emperor Qing Dao explained. "If you don't have it, the inheritance I left behind would be a fatal poison to him." Sima Yi recalled that when she was in the heavenly pavilion, Emperor Qing Dao had dissipated and turned himself into an aura that entered her body. Did he save her life? Wait, inheritance, there really was an inheritance? You're saying that the silver light was an inheritance? Yes. Sima Yue pursed her lips. When she heard the man shouting excitedly about the inheritance, she thought that only an idiot would believe that it was an inheritance. She didn't expect that it was really an inheritance. Then wasn't she an idiot? She wouldn't admit that she was an idiot. Hence, she decided to abandon her previous thoughts and asked, "What kind of inheritance do you have? Why does it have to be someone with your aura to not die? If no such person comes, then no one will be able to obtain the inheritance? Even if someone without his aura came in, he shouldn't have killed them. At most, he would just let them return empty-handed." "I don't have any disciples or relatives in my life. My inheritance is naturally passed down to those who are fated with me. Those people came to my tomb and disturbed my peace. It's only right for me to take their lives." Emperor Qing Dao didn't feel that what he did was wrong. Or rather, when he left behind this condition, he didn't feel that it was wrong. Sima Yue felt that she couldn't control a person who had been dead for hundreds of thousands of years. Emperor Qing Dao had left behind such a condition at least for some benefits. If there wasn't such a condition, it wouldn't be her turn to take advantage of this. My inheritance is related to comprehension. As long as you grasp this, your comprehension of the heavenly Tao will naturally be much faster. Emperor Qing Dao seemed to have noticed something strange. His figure flashed and appeared in front of her. Chapter 1601. Sima Yue was shocked by the face that suddenly enlarged in front of her. She instinctively took a step back. What are you going to do? Emperor Qing Dao stared at her curiously. I really didn't expect that you would actually comprehend a domain at this level. You must know that there were very few people who could comprehend a domain at the monarch rank back in my time. Very few? Does that mean you're pregnant? Sima Yu asked. Those with great talent. Monarch Qing Dao's voice was very calm. He wasn't envious at all, because he was once one of them. There's no one on the continent who can do that anymore. Cultivating now is much harder than before. Sima Yu sighed. People nowadays really couldn't compare to others in terms of cultivation. I was already very few at that time. Emperor Qing Dao said, at that time, I felt that the heavenly Tao had changed. So if you want to cultivate, you must overthrow the heavenly Tao. She thought about how she had been punished by the lightning punishment for going against the heavenly Tao. She subconsciously looked at the top of his head. Don't worry. This is just my illusion. The heavenly Tao won't know what we're talking about here. You won't be able to achieve what you want. Emperor Qing Dao knew what she was thinking and laughed softly. Ahem. Sima Yue felt awkward as if her thoughts had been seen through. She was really wondering what would happen if he was struck by lightning. You were already an imperial emperor at that time. Didn't you think of rebelling against the heavenly Tao? Although I can feel it, I don't have the ability to do so. Only you can do it. Emperor Qing Dao looked at Sima Yue with a complicated gaze. Sima Yue couldn't even read his emotions. Emperor, you must be joking, right? If an emperor like you can't do it, what can a mere monarch like me do? Sima Yue felt that he was thinking too much. I can't do it because I'm not that person. Although your current strength is not high, you're the one destined to be. Sima Yue pursed her lips. She had never believed in fated people, just like how she had to disguise herself as a woman for so many years because of what the Sage Pavilion had said. She felt that this was all nonsense. Could she destroy the Sage Pavilion by herself? Only a fool would believe that. Emperor Qing Dao naturally saw that she didn't believe it, but he didn't argue with her. There were some things that one would only know if they were true after doing them. Whether you believe me or not, I will try my best to help you. He continued, I've also left some things for you in the other tombs. I'll give you the map so you can look for them yourself in the future. With that, Sima Yue felt maps appearing in her mind. She subconsciously closed her eyes. When she opened them again, Emperor Qing Dao was gone. The vast snowy plains were gone too. She was back in the stone room. Her head hurt a little. She rubbed it and found that she was no longer in the illusion. Her body was limp. She grabbed the sides of the stone coffin to sit up. The white bones were still lying quietly on the ground. The lid of the stone coffin was on the other side. The entire stone room was silent. It was as if everything was just a dream. If it wasn't for the extra maps in her mind, she would really think that way. Actually, she still had many questions to ask him. For example, why did he help her? Even if the heavenly Tao changed, he wouldn't be able to enjoy it. For example, if he left everything to her, wasn't he afraid that she wouldn't work after taking it? It was a pity that he couldn't answer her. After a long sigh, she began to examine her body. She found that the aura that Emperor Qing Dao had left in her body had become stronger. Thinking about how he had turned into gas and entered her body, this spirit wouldn't be the same, right? After sitting in the coffin for a while, her body gradually recovered its strength. She climbed out of the coffin. Seeing the white bones on the ground, she thought about it and kept it in the spirit pagoda. She got little spirit to find a place to bury it. To be honest, his death was a little unjust. When her body had fully recovered, she went to the stone door. She injected Emperor Qing Dao's aura into the stone door. The stone door retreated to the side like before. Are you okay? When she went out, she saw a few people guarding outside the door. Grandfather, Grandmother, father, why are you here? We just found that the energy that was blocking us disappeared. We followed the aura that you left behind to find you. Yue, are you okay? Huang Yingying pulled her to look at her left and right a few times, afraid that she was injured. When Sima Yue heard them say that the energy had disappeared, she guessed that it was because the spirit here had disappeared. Therefore, everything that Emperor Qing Dao had left behind here had also disappeared. Yue, what are you thinking about? Huang Yingying pulled her. At this time, she was still in a daze. Sima Yue saw that everyone was looking at her worriedly. She smiled and said, I'm fine. I even obtained Emperor Qing Dao's inheritance. So you're saying that this is really Emperor Qing Dao's mausoleum? No, this is just a fake mausoleum that he left behind. However, he left a spirit here to guard it. Then, she recounted her experience inside. Just as she thought, everyone frowned. They were not happy because they heard that she was the destined person. Instead, they were worried. The so-called destined person has extremely good luck. Moreover, you will experience many hardships. Your luck is indeed better than ordinary people. However, correspondingly, you will experience more hardships in the future. It will be even more severe. In serious cases, it will endanger your life. Grandfather, don't worry. Emperor Qing Dao is just an emperor. He's not a prophet. Do you think I'm a destined person just because he said so? I'm just a little woman. I just want our family to be safe. I don't have that big of a wish to save everyone. Sima Yue actually did not believe what she said. Although she did not have any big ideas, it was hard for her not to believe in the fate that was right in front of her. However, if she wanted to use her own life to go against the heavens, she did not have the resolve to do so. That's the way you think. Listen well. Huang Yingying patted her hand. What others do has nothing to do with you. You just have to do your own thing. Yes, so you don't have to worry. Sima Yue held Huang Yingying's hand. There's nothing here. We can go out now. She had already obtained the biggest benefit. She even found the other half of Heaven's halberd. This trip could be said to be fruitful. They walked back the way they came. As they did not look around, they quickly returned to the surface. I didn't expect to be delayed for so many days. Let's go to the Lost Land now. After staying underground for half a month, she really missed the blue sky and white clouds. Yue, let's go to another place first before going to the Lost Land. Where are we going? Sima Lu Xian smiled. Our benefactor is nearby. We have to pay him a visit. You're tuning in to the Romance Rendezvous YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.